If you've ever been ready to drink green beer and green liquor, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks, and welcome back to Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. We made it through another week. It is Friday, March 14th. It is Pie Day. I hope you have some pie ready to go. If not, we can take turns saying 3.141592, however many digits we can get to. Anyway, we made it to the end of the week. We do have some news to go over. Of course, we've got Mark Petrino and his stock of the day. We're going to try and make some money here. It looks like we're going to the bounce house, as Anne-Marie said. Futures up across the board. We'll see if they hold. We'll see if they bounce. We'll break it down. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook starts right now. Good morning and welcome back. I like this. What was Ivan? Benzi Gang. Benzi Gang. That's what we're going to call it from now on. The Benzi Gang. Here you go. Boom. Love it. That's how we do. We come up with things here on a Friday. Good to see a whole bunch of returning faces. Artisan Custom Homes. Good morning. Be aware today it could be a bloody Friday. You know what? I actually think this is a really good warning. Honestly, it looks great right now. S&P futures here up 0.9%, almost up a full percent. NASDAQ leading the way higher here at 1.2% higher. Dow up by 0.6. So green across the board, but will it hold or will this turn into a bloodbath? We shall see, Artisan. I like your warning there. Be aware. If you're in stuff today, be ready to change just in case the market changes. Rustam, good morning. Good to see you again. Anyone watching RCAT today, you've come to the right place, buddy. I'm willing to bet that a lot of the people in this chat are watching RCAT today. I didn't see if it had any news. I don't think anything else is going on, but I'm sure we'll be taking a look at that. Paul, good morning. It's good to see you again. Reaching Financial Freedom. Good as always. HT Hoods, good morning. Yassine, good morning. You ready for 80 degrees in Chicago today, boss? You ready for high 70s? I know I am. I'm about to be bugging the golf course across the street to open the damn driving range. Anyway, good morning. Happy Friday. Bobby, good morning. Happy Friday. Neville, good morning. River, Ivan, good morning. Ralph, good morning. Day Trader, locked in. Day Trader, we're going to talk a little bit about crypto today, especially this morning. I wonder if it's going to roll over. We'll see. Allzarts, good morning. TGIF, Indeed. JJ, good morning. Sun-Kissed Yogi, good morning. Ed, good morning. White Chocolate Mocha, good morning. 3D, what emoji is that? 3D, sunglasses. Hell yeah, let's go. 3D, good morning, welcome back. We are going to put the shades on today. Future's so bright we're going to need them. Am I right? Brandy, good morning, welcome back. Good to see you. Bernhard, welcome back. Bernhard, can I call you Bern just out of curiosity? Welcome back. Kip, welcome back. White Chocolate Mocha, welcome back again. I think I said your name twice, but that's good for White Chocolate Mocha. Wiss, good morning. We're going to take a look at Baiynd, one of the big movers here today, no doubt. Dermalug, good morning. Berto, good morning. ATL Russ, locked in, good morning. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and dive in right quick. And we'll take a look here at the SPY. Let me share my chart. Boom, boom, boom. All right, so we have still held the 10% pullback level. Today, the market looks like it's showing a bounce here. And frankly, I would not be terribly surprised. If you look at some of our other indicators we have here on the market, like RSI, we are in oversold territory. Williams percent R, which is one of the oversold, overbought indicators that Tim Melvin talked about being one of the better technical analysis tools, that's also showing oversold. MACD, that histogram looks like it's compressing and might flip green here in the next session or two. We'll see. So sure looks like the SPY here is set up for a bounce. Really, the question is, how much do we bounce? Are things over, or is there more downside to go? I'm still in the camp that if we do bounce here, maybe loading up some shorts for another rollover makes a lot of sense. Don't forget the seasonality that we're in, that is extremely strong, says that this down period is likely to go through the end of March 26th-ish, around there. So don't forget, we're still in a seasonally weak period here. And also don't forget, we're currently in a bear tape. So when you are in a bear tape, sometimes those bounces look really, really good, look really, really strong. and end up being bull traps and puking people out on the backside. That is why I like the comment to be aware. Be aware, because we can trade these bounces. And we will trade these bounces, but we want to be really careful. Full disclosure here for trading strategies for me today, I am going to stick with the TQQQ and the SQQQ setup. I'm going to explain it again for those that might have missed it yesterday, or for those that just need a reminder. And let me show you what I'm thinking here, because this strategy, I have the most amount of confidence, and I think no matter what is going on, we're going to get an opportunity here doing this. Yesterday, we hit this in the morning on the huge sell-off here as TQQQ started to expand its distance away from the VWAP. It increases the propensity to pop back at least to the VWAP. This one actually went through. So it happened here, and then in the afternoon, it happened again. And it was really when the selling picked up, right? So you see this kind of orderly move down. This one could have been bought, didn't quite get back up there. But the big moves, when it really starts to expand, when that volume really starts to pile up, especially in the selling, we bounce. We actually bounced twice at the end of the day. And if you were courageous enough, I did not do this, but if you were courageous enough to hold it overnight off this low here, you're up 2.5 points this morning going into today. So we're going to take a look at this. The reason I like TQQQ and SQQQ is because I don't have to short anything. I can play the market whichever way it moves without having to short. I can always go long, which is what I would prefer to do. So if we take a look at SQQQ, let's say we get the same type of thing here. Let's say SQQQ. Let's say we get a run, we get a bounce here today. We get into the bounce house and we start bouncing. SQQQ, I could see this rolling down here, 37.50 maybe even a little bit more. And then we can buy that and play that back to the VWAP. So I'm going to be watching these today. I'm really going to basically kind of time this off what I see in the regular market. Both of these ETFs are going to be plenty liquid for me to get in and out of. And if I do something wrong, I'll very easily be able to get out of this without this thing going against me like crazy. So this worked yesterday. Actually set up a couple of times in the afternoon yesterday as well. I'm going to look to do the exact same thing here today, and pretty much until things change, until the environment changes here. I still think, as we go back to the SPY here, I still think we're probably going to make a move towards this 15% pullback level. Maybe we don't reach it, but I suspect that we're going to roll over again and test some of those levels down there. We'll see. We'll see what ends up happening here. Okay, and then I think upside level still going to be that 200-day. Got that at 572.50 here. If we bounce towards that level, I think that would actually represent a pretty good level to get short. I would do that by buying puts as well. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Bitcoin. Let's see. Did I miss anything here? Terlingua, good morning. I'm here ready to work. Good to have you, boss. Crimp Biscuit, good morning. Drew, good morning. Kevin, good morning. Creation, good morning. Yasso Fine. Yes, I love that handle. Good morning. Sebastian, I'm feeling Faloona today. Okay, good. Glad that you're doing that. Lion, good morning. Jonathan, Diamond, good morning. Harris, good morning. Nathaniel, good morning. If you get out at a loss on these, are you worried about wash sales? No. Mark to market makes me not worried about wash sales. But you know what else, Nathaniel? I don't know offhand, and I should probably know this, but I'm not sure that the ETFs actually count either. We would have to look into that. I think that's only individual companies in which the wash sale rule applies. Full disclosure, again, I don't know. I don't have to worry about it because mark to market does not have to worry about wash sale rules, but that would be something else to look into. And if I get some time today, maybe I can help you with that. Maybe I can help you with that. Coffee with the crew. Brandy says, exactly what I've been doing with this volatility. I play SQQQ since the options are cheaper. Okay, so Brandy, so that's awesome too. So just to be clear, what I'm talking about doing is just playing the equity, right? I'm actually buying the SQQQ and the TQQQ stock. That is a derivative ETF. You're now playing options on that, so it's a derivative of a derivative. Now, I'm not saying that can't work. I mean, hell, you've been doing it. We actually saw someone yesterday. Someone new that joined did the same thing. So this is a perfectly viable strategy. Just know what you're doing. If you're trading those options, they can probably move pretty quick. one of the reasons why I like doing the stock is because if I buy it at X price and it goes down 30 cents, I feel okay adding to that, changing my cost basis, and then selling on the next pop. I don't know how well that's going to work with options, but this is a really good point, and this is another way where you can kind of lever up on that. So really good stuff there. Thanks for covering the Qs today. You got it, Big Bees. We can cover the Qs any day. If I'm not doing a good enough job, slap me. Remind me. We can always take a look at the Qs. Technology has really been one of the drivers of this, both up and down. So taking a look at the Qs, never a bad idea. Good morning, Amurius. Hope I pronounced your name correctly. Mo, good morning. Okay. How difficult is it to apply? It was very easy. I just told my tax guy. Did it for me. So easy. Talk to your tax guy. Not hard to do. If you don't have a tax guy, well, I guess my recommendation would be get one, because I don't really care to learn all of those rules. I like that I have someone I can go to and be like, hey, can you do this for me? And they're like, sure. Anyway. Okay. That was it with the SPY. Let's talk about Bitcoin. Let me queue up the chart just in case we need to go to this. Here is the Bitcoin chart that I'm looking at. Now, we've added a couple of trend lines to this. So we had the trend line right here at the top. All right. I also drew 13's trend line, which came from the high in December. And you can see that on the way down here, we are actually obeying this trend line pretty good. So Bitcoin finds itself at a pretty interesting spot here today. We're right underneath the 200-day, and we're right underneath the trend line. Now, to my eye, it sure looks like the next move here is a rollover. I have to be honest with myself, because that's what I want. Clearly, that's where my bias is. That might not be what happens, but that's what it looks like to me. So we'll see what happens with this trend line and with the 200-day here. Let's take a look here really quickly at this article on Bitcoin. Crypto experts weighed in on Bitcoin. Price dropped below 80,000 on Thursday, predicting potential price bottoms for major cryptocurrencies amid ongoing economic uncertainty. And Lion, don't worry. I'm going to tie this to Ripple here in a little bit. We are going to take a look at the XRP chart. Michael, oh gosh, my Polish brethren, they are disappointed in me because I'm not sure I can pronounce this correctly. Pospieszalski? That was a complete butcher, and I'm sorry about that, and I'm not going to make it worse. Of Switch Fortress told Benzinga that Bitcoin could find a floor between 60,000 and 65,000 if it falls below 70,000. So I was really happy to read this, because this tells me that the levels that I'm looking at are pretty much right where they should be. They're not too aggressive and they're not too conservative. They're pretty much right where they should be. I'm looking to buy here if it hits 70,000. And frankly, if it hits 70,000 and then goes to 60,000, I'm going to buy a little bit more at that time as well. Meg Lister of Gitcoin Labs cautioned that pinpointing a bottom remains challenging and could extend into the coming months, depending on U.S. economic policy shifts. Well, you're not really breaking any news there, are you? The U.S. policy shifts have really been what's sending this market all over the place recently. Not surprised at all to see Bitcoin move with that. And certainly pinpointing bottoms, very, very difficult in any asset here. It's one of the reasons why I'm throwing my orders out there. The rest is up to God, as they say. We'll see. Bitcoin on Thursday made a new low of 79,940, trading down 2.5% over the last 24 hours, triggering liquidations of 209.5 million. Frankly, I want to see more than that. I still want the capitulatory pull, right? I want that big, oh shit moment where we just pull. And we just pull, and we really just kind of puke people out. I think that would actually make a pretty good tradable bottom. We'll see if we get that. The gentleman's name, whom I can't pronounce, attributed Bitcoin's decline to broader economic unease and political rhetoric, particularly following the comments of President Trump that have heightened market nervousness. Indeed, it definitely seems like we're trying to kind of shake out some of that nervousness, drive things lower, get lower rates, and set up for a boom. That's what it feels like to me. He estimated that if Bitcoin breaches 70K, it could slide to a support range of 60 to 65 before a rebound, with Ethereum and Ripple likely to mirror this trajectory due to market correlation. Now, that sets me up pretty nicely let's go back to the Bitcoin chart here, and instead, let's take a look at XRP. Here you go on Ripple. Boy, oh boy, does it sure look like we have a head and shoulders here. In fact, what I would do now, I would probably do this and maybe, there we go. There's our head and shoulders. We have not yet resolved this. So I know that this thing did trade down to that like 180 handle, I think 186 or whatever this low was right here. That was in the 180s. I'm almost certain. 189, sorry. 189. So we did go down to the 180s there and we bounced. I think that this is just kind of a corrective bounce. I really don't think this is going to change anything. I am absolutely, where's my tool here? That's not the right one. We need the arrow. I'm absolutely looking for Ripple to do this. Now I have this, I have this measure. Ooh, that's convenient. I have this measure to about 140. So Ryan, you had told me buy Ripple. I have not forgotten. I'm definitely looking to add Ripple here, but I do think based on what we see here in the chart, we're likely to experience another down move with the market and with Bitcoin. If we do, I think 140, 150 makes an ideal spot to add some Ripple, and I will definitely be doing that. We would do the exact same thing here with Solana if it really does pull down, although Solana clearly, oops, that was not the right ticker. Sol versus USD. I was like, that chart doesn't look like I remember. Sol does not have the head and shoulders that we do, and it does look like it's doing its best to hold on to this area in here. Let's call it 112 up to maybe 125. This definitely looks like a support area, and it looks like it's trying to hold it. Would not be shocked if this takes another leg down. I would say I would definitely start adding it under 100 here on SOL. My goal here would be immediately to stake that and earn interest on that. Wouldn't be interested in selling it. So, okay, that's what I think here on Bitcoin, or at least on some of those coins. Let's go back to the article here real quick. I did want to catch up here. Gold is the king, silver is the queen. Actually, we've talked a lot about some of those metals there, and we've talked with, I think Mark said this, maybe Matt did as well. We think there's some more room there. I know 13 really likes silver as well. Okay. Remember, Ripple is the company, XRP is the crypto, two different entities. Thank you. Sorry about that. And you know what I should do? I should probably just stick with the ticker anyway, so it's not really any type of confusion. I'll address it as XRP. That way we'll all be on the same page. Good feedback there. Appreciate that. So Jonathan asking a really good question here. How about if it doesn't go any lower and then shoots to 150K? Is it worth waiting for the bottom? For me, yes, it is, because I didn't sell all of my Bitcoin. I, of course, left a little bit on there for this exact reason. If the thing moons and goes crazy and I'm sitting there with an order and I'm all sad faced because it didn't get filled, I at least want to have some exposure. Remember, I also kept Ethereum and my other cryptos as well. So if Bitcoin goes to 150K, believe me, that's going to be a rising tide that lifts all boats, and I'll still have exposure there. This is an excellent question, however. Lion says, very hard to see 140. Challenge accepted. Challenge accepted. And then let's see. But here we go. Glenn saying Bitcoin 3.382 is at 86,408. I expect next. So you are expecting a bounce to that level. Do you expect it to roll over at that level or go higher? That would be what I want to know next here. Graph is asking what the best place is to buy crypto. I'll let you folks talk about that. I really only have experience with Coinbase. So I'm not like a huge crypto nut. I don't study it and know all of this different stuff and try all these different exchanges and transfer fees and gas fees and all that. I don't do all of that. I literally just hodl, and I've used Coinbase from the beginning. Now, that being said, I'm extremely happy with the product. I know their fees are a little ridiculous, but if you're not, scalping back and forth or trading back and forth in Coinbase, it's really not the end of the world. And as you buy and sell more, those fees continue to go down. So I do what's best for you. I will say that my experience with Coinbase from the beginning has been nothing but good. I have no complaints. No complaints. I also used NiceHash in order to mine, and I transferred from my NiceHash wallet to my Coinbase wallet with no issue at all. So My opinion is that Coinbase is actually pretty good. Okay, let's go through the rest of the article here real quick. Ethereum's path, he noted, is also influenced by institutional adoption and spot ETF inflows. Although no specific price bottom was provided for these assets. With Ethereum, pretty much with any crypto that is going to pay some type of APY, I'm probably just going to dollar cost average it over time and then stake it so that I can earn on that. It seems to be the best move for me since I'm not trading it back and forth. But let me know what you folks think. The other altcoins here that were mentioned were Solana, Cardano, and Dogecoin. And they're all trading down. BNB bucked the trend, trading up 3%. I've actually never bought or looked at BNB. Don't you need Binance to buy that? You guys will have to let me know. Okay, what did I miss here real quick? Thank you, producer. There's an article there for cryptocurrency brokers in the chat. Way to go, producer. That is some awesome stuff. Okay, let's go. Next story here, while we're waiting for Mark Petrino, is going to be on Meta. Trump suggests Meta may invest up to $60 billion in the U.S. by the end of 2025. Okay, U.S. President Donald Trump has indicated that Meta platforms could invest up to $60 billion in the United States by the end of the year. While taking press questions at the Oval Office on Thursday, Trump stated that the Mark Zuckerberg-led company is likely to invest that by the end of 2025. This follows the likes of Apple, TIA, and TSMC. In February, the iPhone maker invested $500 billion, while TMC invested $10 billion in the United States in a move to avoid tariffs and boost Trump's America First agenda. An anonymous source, we love those anonymous sources, don't we? Oh, those are so great. /S sarcasm ended. An anonymous source disclosed to Reuters on Wednesday that the meeting is part of Zuckerberg's continuous discussions with the administration concerning the leadership of American technology. However, Andy Stone, a spokesperson for Meta, did not confirm this. So it looks like there's a little bit of back and forth here. Now, one of the things that I want to bring up here, one of the reasons I wanted to even mention this story, sure, we want to know what's going on there, and we should expect that if we get a PR about this, it would be pretty positive for the stock. But perhaps more importantly than that, let's go back and take a look at Meta's chart, because Meta, folks, is the only Mag 7 name that has not given up its 200 yet. And this is important. Let me go ahead and put this stuff back on here. It always does this when I switch from the crypto chart. I know they're working on it, but I wish they would do it faster because I'm tired of doing this all the time. Anyway, Meta's down from its highs, pretty good, but still hasn't given up the 200. And like I said, it is the only Mag 7 to not give that up. Certainly looks to my eye like we're going to test this next. Current price is about 603. That 200-day moving average is down there at 570. So you got 30 plus points worth of movement just to get there and test it. Wouldn't be surprised if we actually broke beneath it. You can see here, going back to last summer, our volume point of control is down here at 498. So some considerable room down here on Meta if we keep going. So I brought this up because, well, I do think that we should be ready for some type of headline like that might pop the stock. I think that those pops might be an opportunity to short this stock because, again, I think like the rest of the market, this is likely going to just kind of do a reset, move down to that 200. We'll see if we break it. I don't know if this 500 is possible, but maybe. I don't want to write anything off here. I did not think that Apple would necessarily make it to the 500-day. And oh my God, I think this one just kind of sneaky. At least in my view, it's pretty sneaky because I own this long term and I just don't necessarily trade it. I just kind of hold on to it. But look at what Apple has done here. This on Friday, March 7th, last Friday when we were together, Apple printed a high of 241. It is 210 today. This is a 30-plus point move in a week on Apple. That's pretty good given how humongous the stock is. And if you look where this is at, this thing basically fell away from the 200-day. Could totally see it test this 500-day now at 199. That also equals the yen carry trade bottom that we had. So could totally see this here. I think maybe a week ago I would have been like, nah, I don't know if Apple's going to get down to the 500-day. And yet here we are, really not that far away. So I bring that back to Meta here. Let me ask you folks, I generally don't trade Meta just because I don't really like the company. I've had personal experiences with that, but I don't necessarily have a moral obligation like I do against the cigarette companies. So I ask you folks, what do you think here about Meta? Do you think we print that 200-day? Do you think we snap that 200-day? Do you think that there is more bad news on the horizon here for Meta? Curious to know what you guys think about this one. Okay, that is Meta. I don't think there was anything else in that article that was really of note. No, not really. So that's pretty much it. Okay, what do we got here on time? We got 5 more minutes. That is time for an NVIDIA story, I think. Let's do it. Let's actually queue up the NVIDIA chart here first, and then we'll take a look at the story, and then we can actually discuss some NVIDIA levels. First of all, shout out to the Happy Hour crew because we agreed, basically group charted NVIDIA because it's such a popular stock, and we came up with this parallel channel. And boy, oh boy, this parallel channel has been a North Star for trading NVIDIA since the end of last year. Look how well behaved the stock is in this channel. Well, we bounced off the bottom of that channel. Today, we're right at the midpoint. I would imagine if we continue to bounce higher, we will probably top out here 130, 133-ish, as that will be the top end of the range that we've really done a good job staying in. But I also want to mention that I think it's possible that we maybe either stall here or maybe even roll back over. A lot depends on what the market's going to do. I know we're at least up here in the pre-market. Maybe we will have a relief Friday, and maybe we'll just get back to selling on Monday. It's just the market trying to say, oh, everyone's wearing green for St. Patrick's Day. Everyone's happy. Everyone drank a whole bunch of green beer over the weekend. Well, guess what? We're going to have red arrows all over the place on Monday. I could totally see the market doing that. And if that's the case, I'm not sure that NVIDIA trades up to the top end of the channel, but some pretty good levels here nonetheless. The other thing to pay attention to is that the trend line that we had developed from April of 2024 through the yen carry trade bottom actually should provide some resistance here, and that's not far above the middle line of that channel too. That number here, for those of you that are looking for numbers here, 122 is that spot. But let's take a look here real quick at NVIDIA. NVIDIA stock reaches all-time highs after Jensen Huang's after Jensen Huang's CES keynote. Will next week's GTC spark another surge? So what's going on here? The GTC conference runs March 17th through March 21st. So starts on Monday, and what is the 21st of Thursday? 21st of Friday. So this runs Monday through Friday next week. We're likely to hear some headlines out of that, especially with Jensen showing up with his sharp leather jacket. I mean, we could hear a lot of big stuff out of that. We'll see how the stock actually responds to that. The event could serve as the next catalyst for the stock, which has fallen in recent months. NVIDIA's AI conference will give the company a chance to highlight new and upcoming products. I wonder how great they'll be. Give updates on demand for items like Blackwell. I can already see what that's going to be. The demand is insane. That's all we've heard from that. I don't think he's going to reverse course on that. But nonetheless, NVIDIA said Huang's keynote and the event will provide a glimpse into the future of AI infrastructure, scientific computing, AI, and robotics. And just as kind of an aside here, I do think this might be one of the most important parts of this presentation, especially for us, because this might give us some insight into other companies that either are going to make a run if there's an announcement there, or might be ready to kind of make a run if we do get some more headlines on that. I think that this AI robotics thing is going to have tentacles and can proliferate into some smaller stocks here. Remember, the IWM is extremely beaten up. So if that firms up first and starts moving higher, and then we couple it with NVIDIA partnerships and Palantir partnerships and all this other stuff, that could really kind of make for a powder keg for some upside moves. So we'll see if that happens. Remember, that conference starts on Monday, March 17th, and runs all week. All week. Okay. What time is it? It's 8:29. We're a minute early. And you know what that means, folks? It's Friday. That means we're going to talk about the stock of the day. We're also going to take a look at charts with Mark Petrino. Let's go ahead and bring him on right now. Mark, good morning. Happy Friday. We made it till the end of the week, my man. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing really good. Look, it is about to be 79 or maybe even 80 degrees here in Chicago. Mark, I live across the street from a golf course, and yesterday I I saw that they put all of the mats out on the driving range. So I have an extra pep in my step today as I think I'm going to be able to go and get some golf shots in.
Yeah, that's cool. You know what I've learned? I used to go to the driving range and I forget how much it cost. It was either 12 or 15 bucks and you would get 110 balls.
Well,
And
that's actually a good deal.
yeah, it is, but the problem is, it takes a little bit of a while to get warmed up. Maybe you hit 5 to get like kind of warm up. Then you
Mhm.
hit like 20 really good shots and then you just keep going and you're starting to get into bad habits because you're getting tired and
Mhm.
your form isn't good. So what I've learned, and it's hard to do, it's easy to talk about, it's hard to do, is actually just, go until you get your swing and then go over to the putting green and practice putting. But putting is boring.
I completely agree with you. A couple of things real quick on that. First of all, the driving range that I has a TrackMan, so it tracks all the shots and gives me data on it. And I've also kind of picked up some breathing exercises to do in between the shots because a lot of the times I get out there, I hit one, I'm like, that's no good. I just want to hit the next one, right? And I want to get it till I get that feel for it. Then I get locked into a groove and I burn it up on the driving range instead of on the course. I totally agree with you. The real gains are made around the green. You should always practice chipping and putting more so than driving. But I digress. Anyway, as you can tell, I am extremely excited for golf here. What do you got? What do you want to talk about here today? And what do you have for the stock of the day?
Well, the first thing that really kind of strikes me is that if we look at this investors sentiment survey, 3 weeks in a row we're below 20% bullishness and close to 60% bearishness. It's not unprecedented, but it's very rare. I mean, the sentiment hasn't been this negative in a long time. So the next thing we got to talk about is, well, what in the market should we be watching if we're going to try to catch some kind of a reversal? Because if people are very bearish and there's very little bullishness, this is what we call a contrary signal.
Mm-hmm.
And it means that in a situation like this, if people are really bearish, what do? They sell. And when they're done selling, when the market runs out of sellers, the only place it could go is higher. So I think it's going to be really important to keep an eye on the financial sector
Okay. You
now
want to share
because,
any charts today?
oh, yeah, sorry about that.
No, no problem. Boom.
All
Boom.
right.
All right.
Okay, cool. Now, notice how our this is XLF, this is the financial sector
Mm-hmm.
ETF, and it's sitting right on this support level, right, from back here. So this level was resistance back in October, and then people sell. And when the resistance finally breaks, a lot of the people that sold regret doing so. And they say, if it gets back to my price, I'm going to buy my shares back. So when it drops back to that price, you get these remorseful sellers placing buy orders. And if there's enough of them, it creates support at the level that was resistance. Now, this is seller's remorse manifested in a different way where support can stay intact. So people sold here and the price goes higher and they say, I made a mistake. If it gets back to my price, I'm going to buy my shares back. So remorseful sellers from here, placing buy orders here is create support. And now the same thing has happened. So this is going to be kind of important. I mean, I don't know. There doesn't seem to be much going on in the pre-market, but if this support breaks, then I think the broader market will head lower. But considering the bearish sentiment, there's got to be some kind of a bounce. And a lot of people are asking me, like, Mark, is this because of these trade tariffs and everything, or what's going on with the market? And I mean, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but markets go down too, and people forget that, right? And after you've had a really long bull
Mm-hmm.
market, there's this is just par for the course.
Mark, I will let me just jump in there because I will say I have been making a concerted effort for every day to share some type of stat on how A, we shouldn't be panicking, and B, this is actually not abnormal at all. How many times have you seen a 10% pullback in your career?
Oh gosh,
Exactly.
more times than I can remember.
Exactly. And that's where we're at here. So, like, I understand we've moved kind of straight down. I understand we have some crazy rhetoric going on that the media amplifies. I understand all of that, and I'm not dismissing that. But the reality is that this really isn't unprecedented or crazy by any stretch.
No, I mean, if you read a lot about history like I do, it's like nothing new ever happens, right? We've all gone through this before.
Mhm.
And in terms of these moves, right? Like Tesla is down. Well, I mean, I think it's recovered a little bit, but it was down more than 50%.
Mhm.
Now, going back to the internet bubble, which was a long time ago, 25 years ago, there were real companies like, for example, Intel and Cisco that lost like 80% of their value. So you can't just say, well, the internet bubble was all these companies that didn't make any money, because those companies were making money. And it just shows you that large moves in stocks are not unprecedented. I mean, let's go think more recently to the cannabis bubble from 5 or 6 years ago. A lot of those stocks are down like 90, 95%. Now, I don't want to freak anyone out. Like, I don't think we're going to go down 90%, but no,
And,
this is not unprecedented at all.
and Mark, really quickly, and here, let me see if I can do this real fast. I sure can. Here you go. Real quickly, here's an NVIDIA monthly chart. NVIDIA in the period of November 2021 to the period of, no, excuse me, hang on a sec, from November of 2021 to October of 2022, NVIDIA lost 68% of its total value. 68%. NVIDIA, this isn't a pot stock. NVIDIA lost 68%. These types of swings happen. It's just part of it. It's just how it works.
Yeah. So from the recent high, NVIDIA is down about 25% from the high back
Yep.
in early January.
Yep. And it was down closer to 30, I think, at that low.
And this really, this goes right into what we always talk about with the psychology. It's psychology that moves the market, right? Like, what has Nvidia done that's made it 30% less valuable as a company than it was just 2 months ago, right? I mean, it's like one of their factories burned down or something. It's like, no, the only thing that's changed is investor perceptions. And before we get too freaked out, let's see where Nvidia is now. It's the same level that it was at just in September, right? So it's not like it's making multi-year lows.
Yeah.
It's just got a nice pop this morning here. And we can see again the principles we just talked about. Notice how it found support at the level that was support. And here too, right? We get this big sell off. And where does it find support? The level that was the bottom back here, right? So if something is in a significant downtrend or even a non-significant downtrend and you want to buy it and you're thinking like, where should I jump in? Well, if you look to the left, as they say on the chart, and if you see a level that looks like it was important before, there's a good chance it's going to be important again if it gets to it. So that's the takeaway there.
Totally with you.
Just like financials are sitting on important support. Look at this. So this is our technology sector. So if we go to look at the breakdown of the S&P 500, I'm just going to go look at the SPY ETF fact sheet here, right? So tech is 30%. And financials are 14% plus change. So let's say 45% of the market. So this and this are almost half the market, and they're each sitting on support. So this is going to be, we're going to know which way the market's going to go by how these ETFs or how these sectors navigate these price levels. Let's look at some of these other sectors while we're at it, actually.
And before you pull this one up, I have a really quick question here. It actually comes from one of the comments here in the chat. I believe this, at least on quality companies. Lion here in the chat saying the main thing is to have some cash so that you can dollar cost average some of the great stocks at a great discount. I want to ask you what you feel about this, Mark, because I know Paul Tudor Jones is famous for saying losers add to losers. And when we're talking about day trading, you don't want to dollar cost average on a stock that you're over levered. All that stuff is fine. But when it comes to a pronounced sell-off where really good companies, like you were just saying about NVIDIA, factories are not burning down. The operation of NVIDIA is not changing. When you get discounts on this, how do you think about dollar cost averaging some of those positions?
Well, I think it all depends if you're a trader or if you're an investor. If you're a trader, if you have a short-term point of view, if you're a day trader or maybe a swing trader, then dollar cost averaging is not a good thing because you shouldn't be buying more. You should be getting out if you're having a losing position, right? Because your time frame is only a day or a week. If you're thinking about it from an investment point of view, something you invest in and then you don't worry about for 3 years or 5 years, then I think dollar cost averaging is a fine strategy. So, it all depends on what your strategy is. But if you're a trader and you're dollar cost averaging, you're adding to a loser when you should be getting rid of it. So
Okay.
So
No,
that's my take on that. I mean,
that's really good. That's really good stuff. It seems to me like time frame, which you should have figured out at the beginning of the trade, is extremely important in that decision. So, okay, great stuff, Mark.
yeah, I mean, if you want to own Nvidia because you think it's going to be higher in 10 years, I think dollar cost averaging is fine. If you want to buy it, today because you think it's going to be higher at the open, I mean at the close than it is at the open, and it starts to go down, you should just kind of puke it out, right?
Yeah.
Um, anyway, all right. So here's our healthcare sector is also at support, right? So that's another 11%. So we're talking over half of the market in these three sectors is sitting right on very well defined support. Let's look at a couple more of them. Communication services, and this is also at a support level, as you can see. So what I'm trying to get at here, as you can probably figure out, is the market's sitting at pretty good support. I think it would probably take something relatively important for this support to break because there's just support in all these different sectors.
Mm-hmm.
And with the sentiment, I mean, I am assuming that we're going to get some type of a tradable bounce. So this is what we talked about last week too, and it happened. It was kind of shorter than I thought it would be, but it did happen. We did get a bounce before we started to sell off again. Right here is our consumer discretionary sector, and this is also at support. Right, so it's pretty wild. You got all these sectors are just at support. You got really bad sentiment. They're also oversold. Like this is oversold. If we look down here at the RSI,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look how oversold it is. This is the most oversold this sector has been.
Got 21 on that RSI reading. That's wild.
Yeah, so this is the most oversold that this has been since January of 22. So over 3 years. So when something is like really at an extreme like that, oversold, most of the time a stock is in its normal or typical trading range. If people get really aggressive and get emotional and beat it down below that range, we call that oversold. Now, that's important because a lot of trading strategies are based on the concept of reversion to the mean. So if something is really oversold, there's going to be people that are anticipating it reverting and reversing and going back to the average, which would mean a move higher. So that's going to draw buyers into the market, and their buying could push the price higher. So oversold and at support is, when you're a trader, if you're a short-term trader and you see this, something's oversold and at support, like that's where you get excited because there's a good chance there's going to be an imminent move. It's either going to reverse or the support's going to break and it's going to make a tradable move lower. It's pretty rare that something gets to an important level and hangs out there for an extended period of time. Usually, I mean, if we kind of narrow in on this here, right? So here's the support we got there. We were there for 1 day. So anyway, and we look like we're trading up a little bit or maybe down a little bit this morning.
Yeah, we are. I mean, let's see. I don't know about the XLY specifically. We can take a look at that here, but we are definitely green arrows across the board. Actually, it looks like it's gotten a little bit more green. XLY is up a little bit here. Got bids at 195. That closing price was 192. So we are up here, and we're up across the board. NASDAQ, SPY, Dow, all higher this morning.
All right, let's take a look at Tesla here.
Perfect. I was going to ask you about this anyway, so I'm thrilled that you went here.
Yeah, this was a stock of the day now.
Bang.
A couple days ago. But again, right, so you can see support at the support level. Now, where did this market find support? Where did it find a bottom? And the answer is right here. So you see when we were in this little pattern here. So this is why I wrote about this, because there's a lot of lessons to be taught here. So resistance, there's people that sold here, right, at this resistance level that when the stock blasted off and ripped higher, they're like, oh, I made a big mistake. If it ever gets back to my price, I'm going to buy my shares back. So once again, this is seller's remorse. The stock didn't bottom here around 222 by coincidence or a random chance. There's support there because it was resistance back here. Now, one of the main reasons why you get support is because we have remorseful sellers trying to buy shares back, as we talked about. Notice how here we gapped. I mean, you can see here too, like we gap down, gap up. But we closed here and opened there. That's what's called a gap. It shows there's no trading, so it shows up as a blank space on the chart. Now, if there's no trading, well, there's no one who sold, who's remorseful, who's going to be trying to buy their shares back. So when we get back into the same price range, coming the other way, because there's a lack of buy interest, the sellers really got to knock it down if they want to get their orders executed. So you've heard the expression gaps refill, and that's why, right? One of the main reasons why you get resistance is because you have remorseful buyers trying to sell stuff. Someone buys something at 10 and it goes to 8, and they say, all right, I'm going to hold on to this. If it gets back to 10, I'm going to sell it. Now, when you gap down, meaning you close there and you open there, if there's no trading, there's no one who bought who's going to be trying to sell on the way back up. So gap down, spend some time consolidating, reverse, get back to those same price levels going in the opposite direction, and you gap back up through them. So the old expression, gaps tend to refill, and this is a good example of it right here on Tesla. So it held, and yeah, I mean, looks like it might be breaking its downtrend a little bit here. And just put in the old trend line. A lot of people don't understand trend lines. People ask me, like, how many times does a trend line need to be touched to be valid or something along those lines? And the trend line really, to me, is just more of like a wake-up call. Just think about the way a chart is recorded, right? If something goes down, you mark it down. If something spends a few days going sideways, it's just going to end up crossing the trend line. So what's the first thing something that's going down needs to do before it goes up? And the answer is it needs to stop going down. So if we cross the trend line, that's just kind of like a, hey, pay attention. I think this downtrend is over, which means an uptrend might be about to start. So it looks like Tesla is breaking its downtrend. And again, we found support at the logical level. Certain price levels are more important than others. And for whatever reason, we don't really know. We don't need to know. But for whatever reason, 222 is an important price level for Tesla. So got to kind of keep that in, now, if I was to maybe buy this on the trend break, that's your clear level to get stopped out at.
Okay.
All right. So what else do we want to look at?
Well, we got a couple of requests here if you're up for that. Ryan from the chat would like to take a look at gold. He said the commodities chart. We don't have the commodity price in Pro, unfortunately. So we'd have to probably look at GLD, which would be the Spider Trust. If you have like a trading view chart or something that you want to use there, you could do that, I suppose, if you wanted. And then also after that, we would take a look at Palantir.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to try to do this here for you, Ryan. We're going to have Mark load up Trading View, and we'll see if we can get that gold commodity chart here for you. We'll have Mark chart that out for you. Oh, again, looks like, Mark, you were already doing that. How about that?
Yeah, I follow gold.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I don't know. This is kind of hard to believe, but I was watching a show. It's called like The Unexplained with Dan Aykroyd. And, they were talking about gold. And they said all the gold in the history of mankind that's ever been mined would be about the size of a tennis court and maybe like 30 feet high, right? So maybe like the size of like your typical normal house. And I just find it hard to believe that. You would just think that there's so much more gold out there. But
I do too. But you know what? You know what's really messing that up for me? Mark? I saw Die Hard with a Vengeance when I was a kid. And when they break into the Wall Street Federal Reserve and they're ripping the gates off and there's these rooms full of gold from all these different nations, there's more than a tennis court in there.
Yeah.
So I don't know how accurate that is, but I'm agreeing with you. That seems on the low side.
Yeah. I mean,
but those people with their math, they figure stuff out. So I'm not here I don't have the calculation to disprove them. So it is.
I mean, it does seem on the low side to me as well.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyway, all right. So gold looks a little bit overstretched here. I mean, it continues to trend higher, so I wouldn't recommend selling it, but probably a little bit overstretched, and then probably get a little bit of reversion, and then you got to just see if this price around 29.75 turns into support. Markets typically don't go up in straight lines. They go in like, trading ranges. It's like a staircase. And the what was resistance in the previous trading range becomes support in the next trading range. And that sets the stage for a move higher. Remember, markets typically don't move up as fast as they go down because people are buying on hope and they're selling on fear. So, but yeah, I mean, so that's your gold chart there. And, like you said, we could look at the GLD. If you don't want to, buy gold and have it in your house where you'll get robbed or put it in a safe, you can get exposure through this ETF here. So it tracks gold. It doesn't track it perfectly, and the chart might be a little bit different. But that's because GLD only trades from 9:30 to 4 o'clock. in New York, whereas gold trades around the 24 hours a day. But for all intents and purposes, if you're a retail investor and you want to get exposure to gold and you don't want to take physical delivery, this is a really good option here. And another thing to think about is, say you think gold is going to go higher, right? Well, there are certain things that might move more. For example, GDX is this gold miners ETF. Now, I don't know the exact numbers, but I know that this moves more than gold. So in other words, say gold is up 1%, this might be up like 1.2%.
Mhm.
So if you're right, being long gold, you may want to consider buying this GDX gold miner. Now, a lot of these gold miners are small companies that are like one-hit wonders right down in South America. So unless you really know what the hell you're doing, you got to be careful investing in these gold miners, because one accident or one labor dispute or something could put the place out of business. But this has some good diversification in this GDX. So that's just something to think about there. If you're right on the move, there are different ways to play it. There's also leverage things that you could buy.
Mhm.
The Direxon leveraged ETFs.
JNUG, Nugget,
Yeah,
JNU. Yep, those absolutely. So, okay. I'm
it's
sorry. Did
it's
you have anything
important.
else, Nicole?
It's an important thing to think about as a trader, which a lot of people don't do. But say you're going to make a call on something, right? This is going to go up. Well, what's the best bang for your buck? What's the best way to play it? Is it buying a long-term option, a short-term option? Is there an ETF? Is it maybe buying a call on an inverse ETF? You got to think about your asset allocation and your position sizing and so forth. Um, so that's an important thing to consider there.
Okay. Pa-
Palantir, someone asked about.
Palantir. And then I do have one more for you that's kind of like, I want to call it like a cult popularity stock in our group here. So we'll ask you about that next.
Yeah. Now here's another example of the gap refilling. Remember, the reason why we get support is a lot of times is remorseful um, sellers trying to buy shares back. Like you can see, right? Resistance here and here. It's been a little bit volatile, but it's definitely a range of support. But here was the gap, and we spent some time consolidating, and we got back to the gap, and we fell back into it. And now remember, because there was no trading on the way up, there's going to be less interest on the way back down than there typically would be. So gap up, and then you refill the gap. Now, from a really short-term point of view here, this 83.5 level is kind of becoming important. See how it was really volatile, but it's kind of losing a little bit of its volatility. So if I was thinking about buying this, I would wait, maybe about 84 or 85 is where I would jump in,
Okay.
because this level could keep a price top on it. But if that breaks, what does it tell us? It tells us that the people that created the support, the resistance, the investors and traders are done. They're out of the way. Maybe they finish their orders, maybe they cancel their orders. But it shows us that a lot of supply has been taken out of the market. Therefore, when the buyers come in, they may be forced to outbid each other and pay premiums if they want to get someone to sell it to them. So that's a level to watch there.
Okay. Hans is also mentioning here Palantir is in a downtrend. Actually, just kind of eyeballing this chart, it does look like, in addition to that price level that you have identified there, that might also correspond with a trend break if you go from the top or even from right there.
Yeah,
So,
I would
so
agree
there,
with that.
so there you go. So we are definitely in a downtrend here. That might be something else for you to look at. Good stuff there, Hans.
Yeah, like a trigger here could be all right. If this trend line breaks and we get back above this
Yeah.
resistance level, that's when I jump in. So you could have
Yeah.
like two things to look at there. So yeah,
Okay.
that's what I would look at
All
there.
right, Mark. Welcome to our community here. It is time for you to chart one of our cult stocks. We
Okay.
need to hear what you have to say on RCAT, ticker RCAT.
A cult stock. Huh?
Cult stock. This is a drone stock. Red Cat Holdings. This is one that we've been looking at. We've been trading. It's gone on a huge run. Looks like you've looked at this too already.
Yeah, I guess I have. I don't even remember. um, it's kind of weird. It happens sometimes though. You'll notice as you start to get a little bit more experience. Um, Sometimes you'll like put a price line on a chart, like a support level or whatever, a resistance level, and then you don't look at that stock for a couple weeks, and then you come back to it, and it's like, wow, that got to exactly where that level was, and then it reversed.
I can't see him, but I hear 13 in the background fist pumping right now because we've actually done that live here on this show. You're 100% right on that.
I mean, short term, it looks kind of neutral. It's been in a range for like 2 weeks here. I don't know if there's any news coming up on it, but so let's talk about a potential way to trade this. Well, one would be notice we got the gap there, so we're kind of trading right above a gap, and there's a good chance there's going to be support around 4, nice round level, and it was resistance back here. So that would be one way, is just to have patience and wait for it to get there. Another way you could do it is to kind of think about the range here. So here's our trading range. And I mean, it would be kind of hard to trade the range, at least in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But what you do, people generally trade ranges by buying at the bottom and selling at the top, or waiting for the breakout, one way or the other. So the top of the range is resistance, and as we just talked about, if we get above that resistance, it tells us that the sellers are out of the way, and the bottom is support. If we break the support, what does that tell us? It tells us that the buyers who created the support are out of the way. They finished their orders, they canceled their orders regardless, they're out of the way. So that would be one way to play this. If we break north above, say, 540, maybe it gets to 5.5. That's where you jump in. And on the downside, I assume this thing has options, right?
I believe it does. Yeah.
Yeah. So on the downside, if it gets to maybe 470, that's where I would think about buying puts. So wait for it to break out of the range one way or the other. That's an important aspect of being a trader is letting the market tell you what to do. And a lot of times my friends make fun of me because they're just like, oh, it's like it might go up, it might go down. Well, yeah. I mean, you just got to wait to see which way it's going to go. I mean, I'm not psychic over here, right?
No, and we often say here, sometimes the better thing to do is react rather than predict, right? Let the market show you what hand it's going to play and then play accordingly instead of trying to guess what the market's going to do, which you can get humbled on and likely will multiple times.
Yeah, and you also got to ask yourself too, like, why am I making this trade? Do I have a valid reason for making this trade, or am I bored? Right? I mean, a lot of people trade because they get bored, and that's a good way to lose money.
That is absolutely true. I think that we are probably guilty of that here. We try and make the smartest decisions that we can. Okay, I'm going to try to get one more for you here, and we'll let you go enjoy your weekend there. Gold, the stock. So GOLD. This is going to be Barrick Gold, not one of the miners or the commodity itself, but instead Barrick Gold. What do you see here in the chart?
Well, I would say that if gold continues to move higher, and it looks like it will, we could be on the verge of a breakout here. So now here's an example where we run into resistance at the level that was resistance before, and this is our buyer's remorse. People bought here and they've been underwater since, and now that it's back up to their level, they're selling to get out at break even. So a resistance level can stay intact because of buyer's remorse. It's all psychology. Now, if I wasn't long this, I probably wouldn't buy it now. But if gold starts to move higher, this resistance is going to break, and that's going to tell us that the people that wanted to sell around 1880 are done. So when you take supply off of a market, the buyers have no choice but to be very aggressive. They outbid each other, and it could start this bidding war, which is why you tend to get rallies off of support. And going back to like what we were just talking about, one of my favorite Wall Street quotes is Jesse Livermore said, "I didn't make my money by being in the market. I made my money by being out of the market." And I think what he was referring to was that he had the patience to wait for a compelling idea. He didn't overtrade.
We had talked about that earlier, right? Having dry powder, being able to add when you actually see that setup coming. Okay, because I'm not surprised to hear that. That's a quote from him.
Yeah. So yeah. So all right. Anyone got anything else to look at?
I think that is about it. We did Palantir. Yeah. So, you know what? I guess we could do one more here. AEM. Lion here is mentioning AEM is the best gold stock, hands down. Just a definitive statement from start to finish here. What do you think on the chart there at AEM?
Yeah. I mean, not surprisingly, it tracks the price of gold.
Yeah.
Because, so now let's think about that. If you're trying to diversify, say you buy gold and you buy AEM, that's really not diversified because they're each going to go in the same direction. So again, if you think gold is going to go up, what is the best way to play it? Is it to buy gold or is it to buy this? And you could just kind of see like year to date, what percentage is this up? So let's actually just do that. So from the beginning of the year to now, it's up about 30%. And let's go look at the commodity, the future of gold. And let's see what that's up in the same time frame. Oh, wait, I got to go to days here. All right, so from the beginning of the year, this is up 14%. So this is a perfect example of what I was talking about, right? If you think gold, if back here you thought gold was going to go up, what would be the better play? To buy gold or to buy AEM? And obviously the answer is to buy AEM. So it's all about like kind of thinking what's the best way to deploy your capital? What's the best bang for your buck, so to speak?
Okay. Awesome stuff here, Mark. Love the Friday session here. You got a really, really great compliment earlier here. I'm just going to refresh it for you. We've also been promoting your Substack. We'll do that here again. If you want to see more of Mark, be sure to check out his Substack, but also be sure to tune in here every Friday as we get Mark on here. Really quick, Mark, these are some great charts and a great guest. So again, we can't thank you enough for stopping by here, running through some of the things that we're looking through and sharing your knowledge with us. Really appreciate it. Have yourself a great weekend. And if you're watching the players, enjoy that. And if you're able to get out this weekend, hit them straight. All right.
I just want to, someone asked about this one, so I'll get this before I go.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of been going sideways, pretty neutral. But again, we could just talk about what we just did with the trading range here. So I'm kind of psyched for March Madness. I mean, being someone who went to UConn, reigning national champions.
I just had to throw that in there. You like how he did that? That was pro. That was pro. That was a pro move there. I am super excited. Actually, some of the basketball games last night were pretty good. But the big dance is coming here next week. Oh, I can't wait.
Where'd you go to school?
I bounced around. The big school that I went to was Indiana University, so I'm a Big Ten guy through and through here. But they didn't have much of a football program when I went there, so I'm kind of an adopted fan when it comes to college football. But Indiana University is who I root for, and it's who I'll be rooting for in the tournament.
All right.
All right, that is Mark Petrino, folks. Mark, really good stuff here yet again. Again, we can't thank you enough. Have a great weekend here, and we'll see you next Friday. All right.
Okay. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Mark Petrino, everybody. He is awesome. CMT. Definitely check out his Substack. And as I mentioned, we're going to continue having him back here as well. Now, Mark's departure, do not despair, because that leaves room for the one and only 13. We'll bring him on. 13, happy Friday, dude. How are you doing?
Hey, good morning. Happy Friday. Happy Pi Day. So,
happy Pi Day. Indeed. How many digits can you recite pi to?
Oh, gosh. I think.
I know. You didn't think that one was coming.
No. Just, I looked at it once and I was like, okay, I can try to remember some. And then I was like, this is a waste of time.
3.14 sounds good enough.
Yeah.
What the hell? I'm with you on that. Okay. Really good stuff, 13. I didn't see a whole lot of movers earlier. We did just roll through some tickers here with Mark, which was fantastic. We can start wherever you want.
I mean, yeah, the movers this morning, kind of like how we've been seeing earlier this week. There just haven't been very many good ones. Some of the movers that we did have, they didn't really trade a whole lot of shares to get where they are. They're very, very thinly traded. A couple of those that I saw this morning, but we also had some, a couple mergers as well. So there wasn't a whole lot on the scanner list that was really looking interesting. And it may just end up being one of those days where if none of these movers that we were seeing are really that tradable, let's go back to the TQQ and SQQ, which have been working really well.
I'm so glad that you said that, because literally when we were first discussing the overall market here, I dove into that again, just because honestly, 13, I have more confidence in that trade and setup than anything else that we are looking at here on a daily basis. And for me, it's especially right now, it's about confidence levels, right? It's not necessarily about, well, I think this stock could be 100% ripper. If we catch one of those, great. For me, this is about percentage, confidence, protecting your capital, all the things that we preach here. And the TQQQ, SQQQ trade really seems to be the best way for me to do that, at least right now. So, okay, couple of things here real quick. Daniel, Ryan, you're doing a great job. Thank you. I really appreciate that. That means a lot. Let me know if you have any feedback. We're always trying to make this better. 13-2, very adamant about trying to make our presentations better here all of the time. So if you have feedback for us, we definitely want to hear that. Michael Storm, my dad is an IU alum, Ryan. Hoosiers. Let's go. That's awesome. Bloomington is a great college town, by the way. If you haven't ever been there, it's good to go down there just to enjoy yourself. Really, really beautiful. Okay. Rustam's asking me any plans for the weekend. Rustam, I am going to tear up the streets because it's going to be beautiful. And I just detailed my ride. Also, I'm going to try to hit the golf course or the driving range or both. Actually, next Monday on my birthday, one of my friends invited me out for a round of golf. So I'm going to be able to play golf on my birthday 2 years in a row in Chicago. That's odd. Okay, enough about me. Let's go ahead and dive in. We're going to do some of those movers first, right?
Yeah, we can just get those out of the way because,
Perfect.
The list is not that great because, like I said, we have these are things that are moving on nothing or haven't traded very many shares to get where they've moved to. And we've also had mergers. So let's start with that. There we go. Perfect. One that has no news.
Okay, here we go. Couple of things here real quick before we dive in here. Ronald, awesome name, by the way. My late father's name was Ronald. So you get a ton of bonus points right off the beginning here. The second half of March is historically the best 2 to 3 weeks in the stock market. So I'd actually refine this a little bit because this is something that we have been tracking and sharing charts with quite a bit here. The seasonality period, first of all, very, very high on a percentage hit basis. It's basically the midway through February, so right around Valentine's Day, through the 20th to the 26th of March is historically the worst period here. That period after that, I believe you're referring to here, very, very highly correlated with a bounce and some positive weeks. So again, we've been sharing some of the charts here. I wouldn't necessarily say March 15th. I would slide that a little bit, maybe March 24th, 25th, 26th. But you're absolutely right. And like Mark was just saying, we just talked to him, said he does expect a bounce here pretty soon. We're looking at this March 15th, think maybe we have one more week, maybe 1.5 weeks here of volatility, and then maybe we can play some upside moves. Now, what happens after that, we'll wait and see, but this is a pretty good thing to look for here anyway, Ronald. Okay, crocodile dumb me, cough Purdue. You mean Perdon't? Just kidding. Love you anyway. All right, let's start here with ticker BON. Look, we're going to get spicy here on a Friday. That is for sure. BON is your ticker here. This is Bond Natural Life. Collectus or Selectus. Wait a sec. This can't be right. What did I do here? Thank you. Bond Natural Life Limited. This looks like this popped above 10. This popped above 11 earlier. This stock went from penny stock territory yesterday to 11 in the pre-market. Boy, if you were holding this, I hope you sold. I hope you sold here. You said there was no news on this. Let's check the news feed. Yeah, I don't see anything on this.
There is a Form F that may
midday.
And it's a whole list of different things in that. It's an amendment to their original Form F, but there's a whole list of different things in there that may a lot of those things could have helped move this. So I didn't really have time to go through all of it this morning because there is quite a lot in there. But I'm sure if I spend enough time looking at it, I'd probably find at least a good enough reason why this had a sudden move up to 1170. Even still, I still don't know the exact reason why this popped and then went back beneath VWAP, but it's been sideways ever since then. So the only reason I'm actually going to be bringing this up is not just because it's still up pretty significantly comparatively to where it had closed yesterday, but this may end up getting get a pop again after we open. So I'm just going to say this is probably going to be something that we can largely ignore, but if you want to keep it on your radar, just in case it has this another volatile move in the regular session, then you'll be prepared for it. But it's got 2.14 million shares in the float, and I don't know the exact news it's running on, but it is light enough to where any one big trader can come in and help start the next rally.
So I agree. I don't think this is necessarily running on any piece of news. Here I am. I'm looking at Twitter here, filtered for this ticker. And I'm seeing a couple of things here. First of all, I'm seeing one person, and I'm not going to name anybody, but seeing one person here saying that this is a short squeeze. I have a tough time believing that with only 2% of the float shorted and 1 day to cover. I'm not sure about that. Let's put it this way. I don't want to call this person wrong, but I would want to see more data before that. I have a couple of people claiming that this is a pump and dump. I don't really see anything here in terms of actual news 13. So I don't know that there was. I don't know that there was anything other than just, I think that this is Chinese insider owned.
It might, well, it might be that, but that's why I'm citing the Form F, because I'm sure there's something in there that has to do with exactly what you're saying.
Gotcha.
But yeah, this could just be simply a pump and dump. I'm only just even giving it the light of day because there have been so many times where we've just completely poo-pooed these names and said, oh, they're not going to do anything. It's a pump and dump. It's a China pump and this and that. And we've ignored it, and then it just starts to do this crazy rally for no stupid reason whatsoever. So I'm not saying you should be buying it now. I'm not saying you should be trading it today. All I'm saying is that this thing isn't really moving right now after this one movement it had. So just keep it on your radar in case it starts to do something else again.
Yep. And Daniel reminding you here, GV. Look, I mean, this could very much move like GV. Alexander saying avoid bond. It's a pump and jump Chinese. Move on. We will, man. We're going to prepare everyone.
He's mentioning GV because it's moving.
Okay. It's on the list. We're actually going to get to that. Got a couple of more to get through here. And then also Crocodile Dumb Me, China, say no more. Facts. Also mentioning moving money off of the mainland. This is something that we had discussed quite a bit in happy hour with some of our boots on the ground there and some of these small cap stocks. Best to avoid these when you can identify that from the start. Really good stuff there. Okay. AAOI. This is the next one. What a move here. I feel like there's a lot of people that trade this one, especially in our community here. I've seen this on the scanner a whole bunch of times. Grats to anybody that was holding this for a long time. Applied Optoelectronics shares are trading higher after the company announced a warrant issuance agreement transaction with Amazon for 8 million shares, just shy of 8 million shares there. Stock's up 49.5%. This thing was up almost 80% at the highs when we were looking at it yesterday. Yeah, 92% at the actual high. So a huge pop here on a warrant issuance, allowing Amazon to buy 8 million shares. Quick look around the horn just to remind you here, 20.25% of the float shorted with 1.64 days to cover. So maybe there is some short squeezing activity going on in this one. The stock does actually have coverage, and it's for the most part positive. Also float here, 47.5 million shares in the float. We're already pretty much near half of the average daily volume. I think this is going to exceed it by quite a bit. What do you got on this AAOI?
You touched on pretty much all of the important details. The float, the short interest, the warrants that they are issuing for Amazon. So all that is great. But we got this news yesterday, just after the market closed, and yes, we ripped up to $30.59. Since then, it hasn't been up there. So I'm wondering, is this move in for the already? Mm-hmm. One thing that I'm concerned about is how we are continuing to hammer this $23.55 level, $23.55. Ever since we've come down, we tested it once in the after hours yesterday, then we tested it twice again in the pre-market here. This is starting to form a bit of a descending triangle, and I'm a little concerned about that. Mm-hmm. Like if we lose $23.55, we're going to be going down to probably under 22. Maybe even lower. I'm not sure, but that just the fact that we're continuing to chip away at this 23.55 level, I'd be concerned about losing that. We are still beneath VWAP, so this isn't going to be one I'm going to touch until I see what it ends up doing out of the open.
Okay, real good stuff here. Jay, first of all, happy Friday, Jay. I'm surprised to see you here. Welcome. AAOI, they did fade it indeed, and I think one of the things that we're looking for here, maybe more of a fade. on this one. I could totally see that here. Here's the triangle that you were pretty much describing. It does look like this is going to try and break lower here. I think your strategy of waiting for the opening print here, probably the safest way to go about this. We'll see if we get a setup here, AAOI. But that's what's going on. All right, Anne-Marie, good morning. Great to see you again. Let exit liquidity do its thing first before jumping in long today. Be careful. Could not agree more as we see the futures and the arrows pointing higher here. Look, the being patient right out of the open probably has done more to save me money than any other single thing I can think of, other than maybe not chasing. And even that. So really good stuff here. Definitely wait and see which direction the market actually chooses here today.
Everybody that's saying good morning to you all, and we'll get to some of those tickers in just a moment.
Yep. Let's keep going here. GV, this one is moving. Looks like this was moving right as we were talking on the last stock there. Visionary holding shares trading higher after the company announced that the $1 billion financing by Alfredan Group has entered the loan process.
So, I mean, we talked about how this company just puts out some of the most obnoxiously
ridiculous press releases.
Just obnoxiously ridiculous press releases. Hey, the CEO woke up and got out of bed this morning, so the stock's running. I mean, I really don't know what to how to approach this trade, because this thing could and at the open this can completely pull in on us, because the news is recycled. We already know about this financing. The fact that they entered a loan process, well, I guess that's kind of expected, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I don't really think this is news, but here we are still running on it. So where does this go? I have levels for this because, hey, I don't delete my levels.
Were you? Please tell me that you were around earlier today to see Mark flip to a chart that he had levels on, and then please tell me that you were around to see.
I heard you say that. I heard you say that. I was too busy reading something to
That's
know
okay.
what you were talking about, but I heard that.
Okay, as long as you heard it, it's funny to me because it happens to everybody. By the way, before you break down GV here, let me go back to that 5-minute chart. Look what this stock has a propensity to do.
Yeah.
Okay, I want everyone to know what the stock is capable of. The last thing I want is anyone having a stroke today because they bought some huge move like this and it went against them instantly. Let's be tactical. Anyway, get in there.
So yes, to Ryan's point, you have been warned. Now, as far as where this goes, to the upside, I have a level at 885. So that would be where I'd be looking if I think this is going up. I'm not necessarily sure that I want to believe that this is going up, but we still have about 15 minutes
13.
left, 13 minutes left before we open here. So maybe there is a brief pop up to 885. I don't know, but I'm not going to try and trade this here. I think what I'm going to be watching for out of the open is whether or not VWAP holds. I'm not confident it will, but if we do lose it, I think we're going to have to lean on that 665 level that has been resistance and support, especially with the last impulse move that we had here on the 12th, which I believe was what, Wednesday?
Wednesday. Yep.
So that popped up, and then it went beneath 665. Could not recapture that level, and it still tested it in the pre-market the following day. This went right up that level, got rejected, hasn't been there since this morning. So 665 is where I'd be leaning on the earliest part of resistance if it loses VWAP. But if we continue to rip up 885, maybe even 10 if we go higher than 885.
Okay. Good stuff. Good levels. I too have those levels from the last time that we looked at this, but be careful. Stock's extended here. So just be careful. Okay, a couple of more things I want to take a look at. QUBT. We got news yesterday on this regarding the quantum annealing program and all of that. It looks like we're pushing a little bit higher. This actually didn't do a whole lot yesterday. It is pushing higher here today. I gotta be honest, I kind of think that this is just moving with some of the market. This is one of the momentum names that really went crazy when that whole quantum computing thing really took off. I would not trust this move necessarily. That being said, if we do have, some strength here today, maybe a bust above 615 really kind of lights the fire here. I do think it's going to back test 6. The question will be whether or not it holds 6 here. Again, there's just a really quick look around the horn here. This does still have some short interest, although it's down from the highest print that we've had recently, 17.48% with 1.49 days to cover on this. This does have 111 million float, so it's one of the thicker ones, but because it's part of the quantum name, it still is pretty crazy. And again, I don't have any fresh news here for Friday. So this just kind of looks like a continuation from the momentum that it's actually seen this week, maybe a regression back to the mean.
I think it's that. It may be a couple other things too. We are getting this sentiment that we might be seeing rate cuts later this year, so that's going to lift some of these junkier names that depend upon those lower rates. We're also getting some, like we said, the momentum from D-Wave, and they reported, and they went on a run yesterday. It was a pretty nice move with them, so they may be moving in sympathy with that. And then you also have NVIDIA's Quantum Day coming up in less than a week. That's going to be on the 20th. So I would think that you might start to see some of these quantum names, run up into that event where they will probably end up selling off once we get there, maybe even sooner. So I would think that it's got multiple angles that we see these quantum stocks move up on, and we can continue to trade these, but just realize that these have the propensity to get absolutely rug pulled and can come on down much pretty quick. So. That's just what I think we're seeing with these quantum names.
No, I'm with you there. Jonathan here, excuse me. QMCO, QBit, QBTS, QUBT, all of these moving here. The only other one I would want to check there just to see is Rigetti. Rigetti's up 4% here today. We'll see if that actually breaks above 950 there. Okay, that actually covers the quantum names off the list here as well. Let's see, we got 10 minutes left. I wanted to get to this one, CLLS, and then I wanted to get to RGC, which someone asked about here. We'll get to that here in a sec. Alexander, another question here. Guys, I have a quick question. Do you guys use the 1-day 5-minute charts to see VWAP levels? I would say yes. First of all, on the mover screen that you're looking at right now that we're breaking down, as well as the main workspace that I have that incorporates the scanner, you'll notice that those charts are almost always set to an intraday time frame, and VWAP is probably the crux of the indicators on that. We do add some moving average lines, EMA lines, but for the most part, the thing that we're looking at there is the VWAP, and I would further amend that and say it's the 1 and the 5-minute chart that we are looking at the most. So the VWAP levels that we're reading to you or that we're mentioning, they are definitely intraday levels. Good question there. Okay, tickers. Yeah, could you?
So I always use 5-minute chart, but I don't narrow it to just a day's worth of 5-minute candles. I like to look at a much longer view because I want to see what's happened in the previous days, because that's going to provide me some levels as well. So I don't just I use the 5-minute candles, the 5-minute chart, but I do not keep it within a day's time frame. I look probably several days back, maybe even a week back. But I when I switch to a daily chart, I look even further back because there are some levels I get provided there as well. It's just when you're looking at less than a day, you're going to get VWAP regardless.
Yeah. Okay. CLLS, Collectus, shares are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q4 financial results. This was this morning. This thing popped from $1.30 almost to $2, $1.90 there. It's since bled back about 80% of that pop, so it doesn't look like it can hold it. Conference call is already over. That might have been really what sank it, as I do see some pretty big selling volume in there. Quick look around the horn here, 0.3% of the float shorted, pretty much nothing. 1.6 days to cover there. I would call that negligible. 80 million shares here in the float. And as far as the EPS goes, 16-cent loss. That beat the 17-cent loss that was estimated, just as kind of a small beat there. Sales of 33 million beat the 9.45 billion estimate. So a big beat there. That might have been why you saw that pop there. 13, did you have anything on this one? Ticker CLLS?
I didn't cover this one, but I can look real quick and give you some thoughts. Like, first of all, according to their balance sheet, they seem to have enough cash to continue losing money at the rate that they are losing it. The earnings report didn't show that they are near turning profitable, and it's not expected for a biotech company. They just didn't lose as much money as they did what the market was expecting them to. So I guess that's great. But their sales was pretty robust, and I think that's the big reason that we're seeing this movement here. Now, aside from that, the float is 80 million shares, and it has come down significantly, and it's moved well away from its VWAP. I would think that maybe towards the open or a little bit sooner, we could get a bounce to try to get back up to the VWAP, but I'm just not that confident we're going to see this recapture VWAP and go to that 194 pre-market high or even higher. I think it's a little bit heavy here. Also, there was one other thing that I was looking at here. Oncology. I don't even know how far along they are with their their clinical trials if they've got any going on. But it looks like they have a smart CAR T strategy that they have with their to fight solid tumors. So that's where they're involved with the oncology space, and I just don't know how far along they are with that.
Okay. All right, really good stuff here. CLLS, I mean, this really kind of fits into the plan that we've already kind of have here. I want to see what the opening print has in store for us. I don't really think that I'm necessarily going to go after this right out of the open, but if this sets up and gives us a trigger on the chart, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. We did have a question earlier here. RGC, I think it was Alexander asking, is this done yet? Here are a couple of things to consider here. First of all, this popped yesterday. I mean, is this legit? I don't know. I don't think so. We'll take a look at that here. As far as the second part of your question, is this done? When we see these gigantic kind of out of the blue moves that really brings in volume that is tremendous, I don't want to write it off on day two. If we look at the reason is because this is now going to appear on a whole bunch of different relative volume scans that people do in the after hours. I have a 40+ year market veteran that I talk to on a regular basis that's been doing the same scan after hours looking for relative volume for like 4 decades. Okay. And these stocks pop up on that all of the time. And these people are ready to trade these the next day. Now, does that mean it's going to keep running? No, it's not what that means, but it means that there's going to be people looking at this. And if the stock behaves in a certain way, you could actually get another run here. So I'm not willing to say that this is done totally yet. However, if you look at some of the previous price action, boy, this stock sure loves to pop and drop, doesn't it? So maybe kind of keep that on the back burner here in case we're not able to hold some of these gains or really kind of extend some of these gains. Let's look back inside here. I do think that some of the levels from yesterday, 1175, really kind of jumps off here. This was a consolidation area in the after hours, in the pre-market, and also an impulse resistance area yesterday. I think that level might come into play. Wouldn't be shocked if 950, you might even want to call that, 850 to 10. Wouldn't even shock me if that range comes into play. Let's take a look here at the news. We had a 13D yesterday in the morning. That's it. So to the question here, is this done? I don't feel great about this extending here today. I just kind of quipped earlier about not chasing and how good that can be for your P&L just by not doing it. So I'm not necessarily ready to do this, but it'll stay on the back burner until it confirms that it's done. 13, you got any thoughts here on RGC?
Yeah, the 1060 to 1065 range, that looks like a really interesting support area that I think has to hold, or else this might be done. Now, you can draw a line right there, and you can see what I'm talking about, but it's right
on which value? Sorry.
That's it's like, you could say just 1065, we'll call it. Okay. And you can see that the 200 EMA is right there. That was where also the same area where we got support yesterday in the after hours toward the bottom before it rebounded. And that same level was also a bit of a resistance area on this first, during the regular session when it was trying to get up over 11. It was running into 1065 quite frequently from the morning till after the lunch hour. And it was rejected, but toward the end of the day, it managed to break through. So that 1065 area is looking like a pretty important level of support. And if we lose that, I'd be concerned that this drops underneath 10, maybe goes down to 850 or lower. Okay.
Real good stuff there. RGC, we'll see if this gets rolling here. Alexander, that's pretty much what we got here for you today. All right, I'm going to flip over to the main workspace. We are under 2 minutes until the market opens here.
Real quick, because I got some questions about some of these other names we didn't cover here. So
sure.
Real quick with these. RDUS, this is a merger. This is getting bought out for $30 a share. I don't think there's a trade here. I mean, you could hold this if you want and wait for that $30 when they complete the deal, but I think that's a bad move, so I wouldn't do that. There's also BuzzFeed, BZFD. They had earnings report, and it wasn't a great earnings report, but they reduced their debt and they strengthened their balance sheet. However, even though they have 21 million shares in the float, this thing's barely traded anything at all. So it's only like about several thousand shares that moved it up to where it's at, and that goes for Caps as well. Caps is another one that has barely moved at all, despite the change in price. It's just barely traded any shares. So I don't think there's much with either of those, BuzzFeed or Caps.
Okay, yeah, Caps here. I mean, we've traded what? Not even in the pre-market here today. We've traded not even 10,000 shares.
Right.
9,000.
And that's the point I'm trying to make with the BuzzFeed
Yep.
and Caps. They're just not getting the attention. There's not enough volume, so there's not going to be something that I'm not going to be looking at those today.
Okay,
So.
Really good stuff there.
All right, well, we have 10 seconds.
Wow, did we really time it to 10 seconds? That's pretty damn good.
Well, when I was talking like the Micro Machines guy.
Micro Machines. Izzy saying LAES. Watch this one today. Some news came out. Boy, I can't even load this up here.
All right,
There
there's
we
the
go.
bell. And what are we going to get today?
By the way, that news there on LAES, Seals Q expands its quantum safe strategy with Seal Quantum initiative and up to a 20 million in investments in quantum and AI startups. So there's your news there for LAES, up about 5% here. All right, Chinese pump and dump. Let's see what we do.
Yeah, I was just looking at that. I was like, oh God, is it already starting to rise? This thing, it would be really dumb to see this thing just blast through VWAP.
Look,
Just
the
be
market is
careful.
no stranger to showing us dumb things. Let's be honest.
Just be careful with this one if you're going to trade it. Okay, because that's all I ask. GV's coming down to test VWAP. We'll see what happens here, if it can support that or not. But remember, this is the one that is giving out the crap news recycling, and it could end up this coming right back down. So we're looking at 665 as support and 885 as resistance.
Okay, I also think the 778 area, which is that VWAP, we'll see what happens there. Also here, UiPath.
QBTS.
This is popping. QBTS, let me go to that. That's probably moving more than this. Let me do that real fast.
Yeah, it's looking for 8 right now.
That was that first move there right out of the open, higher here on that. All right, let me reset my scanner here for today and get some option flow as well.
There goes GV down. Ionic also moving. So the quantum names are in play right now. QBTS, Ionic, QUBT. QUBT kind of going sideways. Sorry.
You're good. AAOI continuing to get faded here. So we saw that in the pre-market. It looks like the first move here is down. We'll see if this bounces anywhere. I don't have a level for you yet.
Descending triangle. That was a pretty clear technical pattern there, and we are right down to the 200 EMA, getting a little bounce off of that.
All right, NVIDIA, which got mentioned here earlier, had a little dip to the VWAP. It's trying to pop here. I did see some aggressive put buying on NVIDIA.
MLTO with quantum news.
Did it really?
I don't know. I just saw the post in chat. I'm going to look right now, but
here's QMCO. That's ripping higher here. Let's see if Micro Algo gave us some quantum news. That would.
Oh yeah, it is. There is. That's funny. The Grover quantum research algorithm.
Okay.
All right. Okay. I guess that's the play. Drop the quantum names, and your stock's going to do just fine today. It's also pretty heavily shorted MLGO. So
a couple of things here. So one of the things we're going to be watching. The best part about this is that the first thing that we have to do for this potential trade is wait. So we really don't have to get ourselves in trouble early on here. We're going to be watching SQQQ and TQQQ for extension away from the VWAP. Right now, if the market keeps moving in the direction higher, I'd be looking for SQQQ on that reversion back to the mean. So I haven't, not ready yet, but we will keep checking these out. By the way, Bitcoin moving higher here on this pop. Apple, which has really kind of gotten smacked recently. This is moving higher right out of the open here. SPY's actually moving down. NASDAQ and SPY moving in opposite directions at the moment.
Yeah, SPY might come down to 555 before it gets support. It was getting support in the after hours yesterday after it moved over 555. So I'd be looking at that level as support. That's been an important level for the past several trading days too. Been getting a lot of reversals off that area, a lot of breakdowns, and then coming back up to test it as resistance. Now we're seeing it as support. So 555 is an important level. Could help with some of these ETF trades.
RCAT, which we took a look at here this morning, this is actually moving higher here out of the open. RCAT.
These quantum
is trying to bounce.
Ripping.
And the Qs are still going. So let's take a look here at the quantum names. All of them higher here. Bond is halted.
Halted to the upside.
Halted to the upside, just shy of the VWAP 2 BOM.
Oh man! And then of course,
it's going to get crazy, isn't it?
It just might. This is what I was telling you. This is the kind of thing that we're going to probably see with these really stupid, junky names. They just they just completely do the opposite of what you think they're going to do. Now look at GV. Oh my gosh! This is why we wanted to wait with that one. It's halted to the downside.
Big pull here on GV.
It's almost like we saw this coming just by looking at what some of these were doing before.
Yep. RBRK, this is a cybersecurity company, higher here after earnings. It's actually taking another leg higher here. I do think 70 is on deck here for Rubric, RBRK. And you can see here some of the other levels there. 80 would be your all-time high if we can get back up there. We'll see how RBRK can do here today. Quantum names still going. NASDAQ still printing new highs. SPY's still bouncing also.
QBTS probably headed to 9. You guys talked about gap fills, right? Well, QBTS is one such stock that's going to be gap filling today.
Right there. Yep. Looks like the bottom of the candle there, right down there at 9. Body up here closer to 950.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. So there's your dumb level in QBTS.
Anthony, look at this. Look at this. Anthony says, screw your waiting. Yes. I'm going to go get this right away. It's nice by me. I'm going to go golfing too. Shorted GB like a champ. I'm done for the day. Made a week's worth of profit in one day. Anthony, do me a favor. Don't give that back.
Yeah, no, he's done.
That money.
He's done. We'll see you next week.
I'm just reaffirming his quality decision. That's all.
All right. That was great. Love it.
Mark, I'm sorry for I'm laughing with you, I promise. New strategy, just do the complete opposite of what I usually do. Actually, this strategy does work sometimes. We've had a couple of astute viewers here mention that fading me has actually made them money. I'll take that. If I do anything that helps you make money, I walk away from that like that was a blessing. That's it.
Put it on a shirt, Ryan. The Ryan fade gets you paid.
Hey, and laid. Just kidding. Okay. Also, really quick here. Sorry about that, folks. Breath green across the board here. SPY, Dow, Qs, Russell, and Nice all going higher here, looking pretty good out of the open. Now we want to make sure that this move is not a head fake, so be nimble. We're also waiting on that Michigan consumer sentiment number, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see if that has any effect on things. Quantum names still ripping here out of the gate.
Yeah, it looks like I don't think it would be a good idea to start chasing these up here. So if you're not in these, I wait for the next setup. Don't get caught buying the very top of these moves.
Micro strategy ripping here out of the gate. This is actually still one of the things that I'd be looking for here on micro strategy. I'd still be kind of waiting this out. And I'm actually going to draw this a little janky. Sorry about that. Let's see if we can tighten this up a little bit here. This trend line right here, clearly still in a downtrend. Yeah, what were you? I think I just ran you over?
No, I was just going to say RGC, that is trading lower, but it's getting some support around 950. I think, I don't remember if this was one of the ones I was talking about where the support levels were. CLLS, this one down as well, down to 130 level. It got support. That's actually back to the starting point where this first move began. So this might turn around, but I'm not interested in trading this one. It doesn't move.
Yeah, that chart's got me on tilt, honestly. Yeah. I'd rather just avoid that. Hollow trying to go for $1 here.
They put out some kind of stupid quantum PR news as well. It's every time some of these names start going, Hollow always seizes on the opportunity to get some movement by latching on to what the big news is. They did it with DeepSeek. They did it with the quantum names. I'm trying to think. They also did it with the AI names when all the chips were running. So Hollow, you kind of just have to, anticipate that they're going to drop some kind of news and just and get into it before that. But I think that's a very risky strategy. So you'll have to figure out how to do Hollow on your own time because
Bond going here real quick. This is the Chinese pump and dump. We're actually going to halt again to the upside here at 196. This move happened on volume out of the halt and went right above the VWAP. So I don't think this is halted yet. This is, we've only had one. There it is. So your second halt now on bond 196. Volume pop here, taking us above the VWAP. I'm telling you, if this keeps up, this is going to draw people in. This is going to draw people in.
Yeah.
The
GV
Chinese
open.
pump and dump that you guys said don't trade here, people are going to trade it. Peloton looking like this is going to try and go higher here.
GV opened, went down to 620. That's beneath the 665 area that we're looking for resistance. So this thing's exceptionally weak. Now it's trying to trade back over it, but it's now resistant. So
GV, wow. Well,
yeah.
Anthony, what a short, dude. That might be the
Great
trade
one.
of the day,
Yep.
at least so far here today. Izzy, you were mentioning that TQQQ is ripping here. This was a continuation from the last buy. I mean, I hope that you didn't buy it here and then hold it for the complete move down. But this last extension from the VWAP, we actually did have a trader in the happy hour last night that added here again after trading this successfully and held a little piece into today. Oh, what a move here. 57 and change to 60 and change. That's 3-point move over. Man, oh man, that is a good one. What we're waiting for here now, probably the SQQQ, right? Looking to go long, not go short. Looking for the SQQQ to become really extended away from the VWAP here. I'd like at least $1. So I'm thinking here, I want another 60, 70 cents on the downside here on SQQQ before I try that. We'll see if we end up getting that.
Let's see what happens when the SPY gets to 559. That seems like a pretty good area where we could start to see the market turn around.
Jay mentioning Peloton upgrade. That upgrade was from Canaccord. That was from hold to buy. Let me see what the price target was on that too. If they gave it 10, so we're still ways away there. That's what's bringing Peloton up 10% here today.
Quantum names still look like they're coming back in. So this is when I was kind of speaking on about not wanting to about being careful with these and not chasing them. They are really starting to come into some support areas, maybe even break them. So just be careful. Let these set up for their next moves if they do have another move coming.
Also seeing some more puts bought here into the Nvidia move higher. Also seeing more puts bought into the Tesla move higher. Both of those have reversed their move. And interestingly enough, Apple, which has really been smacked over the last week here, this so far holding higher here. Quick look at the NASDAQ. We are off the highs, but the bounce is still strong. And looking at the SPY here, we're still up near the highs.
All right, let me look at bond here. We were asked about levels, so let me get you some levels. First level is going to be $2. I mean, there's a lot of bids and asks in that area, and we're there's another EMA, a daily 200 EMA that is at 205, 206. So $2 to 206. That's going to be an area of resistance, I think, but we could blast right through it out of this on halt. Let me provide some other levels here for you that I see. 225 looks like that would be a good one. Also, about 240. I got to get some better ones because I feel like those are going to get taken out with the way this moves. 350 looks interesting, and 540. Let's just lean on that for now. We'll do the 205, 206 level, and then the 350 and what was that last one I said? The 540. We'll lean on those for now.
Okay. Sorry, I'm answering a work question here.
No worries. All right, so let's see here with these quantum names. Are they setting up to go higher? QUBT was looks like it traded below and then recaptured VWAP. Volume seems to be waning on that one. Ionic, kind of the same thing. QBTS continuing to put in new highs, but this is probably going to get really extended here. Actually, it really is extended. I would expect this to weaken a little bit, come back in at some point soon. MLGO looks like this is going to roll over. It lost VWAP and is not able to get back above it. I think we are going to see this come down to about 410, 415, where there's some support. Sell the rip day, maybe. I don't necessarily think this that we're completely out of all the selling. This is kind of just a bounce, maybe some sideways price action before we still go lower.
Okay.
That's kind of what I'm thinking right now with the broader market. I was asked earlier.
Really quickly on your broader market thesis there. I'm with you 100% on that. And let's have this really kind of keep trading up, because again, what that should do is that should distance the SQQQ from the VWAP and give me an opportunity to trade that. So I'm with you on that. I'm waiting for that to happen.
I was asked by, I think it was Crocodile Dummy or one of our gentlemen out here asking about Starbucks. Now, this isn't my favorite stock, like you were saying. I did own it at one point, but I don't own it anymore. I sold it last month, and I guess I sold it in a pretty good amount of time because this thing is really starting to get hammered here. Let's see, March 3rd, we hit the high of 117.46. Lost a trend line, lost a support area around 103.50. Filled the gap to the downside. Now we're testing the 500-day SMA, where we have some consolidation in this area. It's also very oversold. I would think that we start to see this reverse, for a short-term bounce. I would think that this is going to come back up to try and test $100, maybe go as high as 105. I just don't know that we're going to go a whole lot higher than that. I still think that there is more downside possible, especially with this company having exposure to China until they, and I know they have some kind of plan, for what they're going to do with their business. They have a new CEO now. So there may be some unwinding of those stores, so some selling to reduce their exposure. I'm not sure, but as far as the levels go for Starbucks, I would think we need to start turning around soon, if not by 93.50, where the 200-day is.
Yeah, the other thing here is that I think it's providing we get beneath that 200-day. If we break 90 here, I think this is almost a shoe-in gap fill to 80. So yeah. I think that 90, 93 support level that area in there, I think it's actually going to be extremely important here on SBucks. Yeah. Okay, real quick, MCRP. This did pop into a halt. It looks like actually it popped and dropped into a halt. Yikes, that's no good. GV here halted to the downside again. What? Look at this move.
Yeah, I see it. It's right back to start. Sorry for laughing. If anybody was trying to go long on this, I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing at this ridiculous movement because that news was stupid.
We highlighted it. That's why we do this. That's why we're looking at some of these junk stocks and trying to break down the news, is because we can often avoid things just like that. And shout out to you for doing that here today.
I think it's open now, so let's see if we finally get a rebound since it gave everything back. I mean, the news to me is like, it's like saying, oh, hey, Tim Cook, he bought such and such, so that stock's gonna. I mean, it's just ridiculous. This is, especially when it's coming down to what the news was. It's just part of the loan process. So,
and it is bouncing. It's bouncing as expected here. Vuzi, this got mentioned earlier by somebody. Did this have news? This was a pretty big move there on volume. Indeed, Vuzi's subsidiary Moivant secures smart glasses development commitment from Airbus helicopters.
That's awesome.
That is what is going to be in those smart glasses. Still, though, give me the PR about the smart glass technology that automatically reads greens for me. Please, just give that to me. Give it to me on my birthday, even. That would be sick.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've seen their line of products, but you can go out and buy their Blade glasses, which actually look pretty cool. The last I saw, they were like $1,000, but I don't know if they've had new ones come out that cost more or not. Hey, take care, Christoph.
Yeah, Christoph, good stuff this week. Have a good one, man. Enjoy your weekend. S&P futures, by the way, continuing to pop to the highs here. So this pop not rolling over yet. NASDAQ actually trying to break the highs. We'd love to see that kind of follow along here. NASDAQ, remember, led the way up, getting a little heavy here. Dow is still pushing higher as well.
Look at QBTS. We hit 899 and started to pull. Now, if you recall, this is the one where we had a gap fill up to about 905. So I'm wondering if we're going to get a little bit of an early pull here and start to come back in.
And not quite fill that gap?
Yeah, it's a possibility. I don't want to say it's a guarantee, but we might end up seeing that here, especially if this candle that we're forming here ends up closing like this. Now it's starting to move back up a little bit, trying to go back up to 9. That gap fill, I feel, is going to be a bit of a reversal area, especially with how we've been moving so far today. Nothing but green candles out of the gate, and this movement is going to run out of steam and come back in. So I'm just not sure exactly where that happens, but I'm thinking it's supposed to happen on that gap fill.
SOUN here. This got mentioned. I think, do we trade and how? Sweet. You're mentioning sound here. One of the takeaways that I have here is some of these big momentum names that really kind of moved recently, or had big runs recently, whether it was a PR with NVIDIA, AI, whatever it is, they seem to be returned to favor here. Quantum definitely fits the bill. SoundHound fits the bill here. SoundHound actually on its second leg up here today.
Yeah. So next resistance area I have for SoundHound is going to be 10.15. We're almost there.
I think I got 12 right after that.
Let's see. I've got 12.45, 12.40, 12.45. But before that, I have one at 10.85.
Also have this trend. I kind of drew it a little sloppy here. Here you go. We have a trend break that we're actually in the process of doing. Again, we want to see a day close candle before we put too much stock into that. SoundHound having a monster day here. 10 prints coming.
Yeah, and I don't know that we're going to see SoundHound get back up to those highs that was making the all-time highs, because they don't think NVIDIA has their position with them anymore, right?
No, that's right. We got a filing that showed that they don't have a stake anymore. That's correct.
Yeah. So that whole run was on NVIDIA owning this stock, and now that that's gone, I don't know that we're going to get back up there.
With you on that. Okay, SQQQ, perfect. We continue to diverge. We're only 50 cents away from that VWAP. I'd really like to see this get about $1. One of the things that I'm waiting for here, we'll see here on SQQQ. Stalking entry, that means that on the flip side of this, TQQQ just muscling higher here. Muscling higher like Izzy.
So Bond, that is now halted for the, what is this, the third or fourth time?
I have the third halt now. This popped, came back in, halted to the downside. So your third halt now is a downside halt.
Yeah.
Look, all I can say, sorry for cutting you off again. All I can say is I'm glad I've wrote no tickets on this. This to me is just pure gambling. Yeah.
So, we were talking about how for the last halt, it's got to get over 2. So it did. And now it's holding above 2. So that's what we're going to want to see here out of this halt. It may trade lower, but we don't want to see this next candle halt or close beneath $2 now. We want to see this test 2 and maybe even go lower down to VWAP, but rebound, just so we can see this go higher. Because I think that's what the kind of price action we might be getting here is trying to hold 2, maybe testing VWAP a little bit before attempting to rip higher. No guarantee, so don't let me influence that trade on you. I just am kind of thinking out loud about what price action we might see here, and based on the way it's been moving, it's looking like it's either got to hold 2 or find some kind of support from VWAP. Otherwise, we're this thing's done.
Okay, Robert here also regarding sound, giving you 1185 as a spot there on sound. So awesome stuff there. Really quickly, what else did we wanted to mention? All those quantum names are still moving. NASDAQ actually kind of slowed down here. We'll see. What else did I miss here? Oh, Intel. Thank you, Tyler. Tyler, I know you've asked about Intel. You've been very, very patient. You haven't called me names yet either. So let's take a look here at Intel. This is an interesting one. This had the huge move off the 19 level, which was great. We also got news of the new CEO here, possible, working with Taiwan Semiconductor here. Intel doing a really good job holding higher here. I don't have a trade on this yet. I did see in here there was some call buying, right? Where was that? Intel calls. Yeah, these are the May calls. They're looking at May 30. And they're buying, that was nearly 1,000 contracts in that one buy. So looks like May 30 calls here popping for Intel. Let me check that out real quick.
That sounds like fun, Robert. You enjoy that.
What's Robert doing? Is he going to Door County? What's he doing? Sold a good chunk. Gonna go. Oh,
he's gonna go hunt some birds.
Okay, bird hunting. So those Intel, yeah. So Intel, there is definitely some interest in the call side here. The 30 calls, absolutely. 26,000 plus contracts held open in that May expiry. Those are only 77 cents. You know what else? 13. How's Dollar General doing here today? Because we talked about this yesterday. I don't know if you comfortable talking about the trade here, but we were talking about this one yesterday. This seems like this is likely going to outperform if the consumer continues to tighten here. We should see some more trading down to Dollar General. The chart's actually pretty appealing here too. I think we had a 200-day moving average at about 93 and change on this. You'll have to remind me. Yeah. This to me, I tell you what, a move to that 200-day seems pretty good on DG. I was actually looking for some calls. I'm thrilled to see this lower here today.
Yeah, I'm in this one for the long haul.
You know what? I am gonna let me see if I can get filled on this.
Yeah, so this is a long hold for me. I also like this because they have been spending a lot of capital opening a lot of stores. So they now have over 20,000 locations in the U.S. And their exposure to China is very, very small. I know that's going to be a lot of concerns with some of these larger retailers like Walmart, for example. Not so much the case with Dollar General. Their imports, their products that they sell that are from China only represents about 4% of the company's offerings of products they have in the stores. So I don't think the tariffs are really going to be that impactful to this company.
Okay, BTO, DG, May 90 calls, starter position there. May 90 calls bought to open here on DG. We're swinging DG long right here. Boom. So again, the expiry is there in May, 63 days away. We're looking for maybe a month here. Let's see if we can get to or near that 200 and we'll start taking some gains. If we dip and hold this area, we'll probably add to that position as well.
Let's see here. Jonathan Cooper mentioning MLGO, 37% of the float short of 1.1 days to cover. That's the read I also have. Something that's pretty close to that. But as far as moving, it looks like it's been trying to get going here the past 20, 30 minutes, trying to get over this 460 level. Both been up there twice, and it looks like this next time has to be the one to break it, or we're gonna probably come back down to VWAP.
All day asking here, is that why everything breaks so easy from DG? I don't know what you mean by that, but I can answer your question. The stuff's cheap, so it breaks. That's just how it works. By the way, Baiynd here, fourth halted up.
Yeah, I don't know.
Are we having fun yet?
Oh, did this do the thing? Hold on a second.
Well, this is now 4 halts, 1 down, 3 up.
Okay, so it held the 2 level, and we're moving back up. Okay, so this is more or less what I was looking for. I was kind of thinking that it might lose 2 and test the VWAP, which is down at around 187, and then come back up. But it said, no, we're just going to go ahead and lift this thing further. So
I don't think with all of the halts and all of the extreme movements like this, I really don't think this is tradable. If you're able to make this work for you, congrats. I'm going to stay away from it because I feel like I'll make a mess of my Friday, and I'm not trying to do that ahead of my birthday.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of thing where you just have to kind of, set your limit orders and make a wish.
But sweet one here, I agree a lot with this. Bond market cap is scary. These micro pennies are basically dead in the water. We've seen that quite a bit. There's been another discussion here amongst happy hour. This one really micro, 3 million market cap, 3 million, not 30 million, 3 million. Sweet one, I agree with you. I agree with you there. Hard to trade any of these,
I think,
frankly, or hold them anyway.
I think the broader market might be starting to weaken a little bit and turn around after this morning rush, this morning run up here. Looks like SPY went a little bit over the 559 level, but now it's coming back beneath it. That was the area I was, considering with the the short positions here, because we did run up to as some folks were mentioning, we did run up to that 559 level, which was resistance yesterday, like big time resistance. So that was a level to watch for today. And now here we are getting rejected after trading over it.
Sorry, ton of puts rolled across the unusual option scanner. Remember, these are aggressive buys. The range of names here: Tesla, American Express, AT&T, PCG, that's Procter, or PG&E, excuse me, Citibank, ton repeat put buys here on Tesla, SoFi, ANET, Taiwan Semiconductor, NVIDIA, Newmont Mining. Lots of puts. By the way, look at our proof of concept for our SQQQ TQQQ trade. Now, I was not in this because I was actually telling you in the moment that I wanted a little bit more than 50 cents. I wanted close to $1 here. But look at what we're doing. We started to diverge away from the VWAP. Bang, we bounce. We come right back to the VWAP.
Yep.
So this, while I wasn't actually in this one yet, I'm sure I will be at some point, or one of these. This is the exact pattern that we're trying to capitalize on. We've already seen it one time here today. Izzy here saying, Ryan, 25 years old, question mark. Are you asking if I'm 25 years old? Are you seriously asking me if I'm 20? If that's the case, that is probably the nicest thing that someone on the internet has said to me in 10 years. SQQQ, massive pop here. Huge drop. We must have got that print. Hang on, let me take a look. Huge pop. Oh, man, now I do wish I traded that. Michigan, consumer sentiment, 54.2 versus the 63.1 estimate. Whichever group of you were betting on the rug pull from the Michigan consumer sentiment number, you guys get a one-up today because that was a move down. SQQQ popping here, and I'm not in it. Damn.
Yeah, I picked it up as I was talking about it. I caught that. I'm not in it right now, but that was when you started mentioning the puts, I felt really good about this downside.
Hey, there you go. That unusual option scanner. That told you the move. Oh, man, 13. That told you the move before the data print came out.
That's the way I was hearing it.
Oh, Benzinga Pro, bro. Let's go. Yes, I know that rhymes.
You were basically my Charles today.
What's that?
You're my Charles today.
Let's go. Hey, if you're going to compare me to Charles, well, I don't think I deserve that, number one, but I will take that as one of the highest compliments that I can get. Shout out, Charles Gross. You are awesome.
Yes,
also, real quick here, Izzy, Ryan, it's a joke? Yeah, of course. Of course it is. Like I said, if you think I'm 25 years old, I'm going to take that as a compliment. There's no other way to get around that. It is awesome. Okay, wow. A lot of excitement there.
Oh yeah, that was fun. And now we're rebounding. So we'll see if we end up back testing 559 again as resistance if it gets back up there. One thing that I was just going to point out, because I'm looking around at these other movers that we were talking about, AAOI not having a great morning, but finally found some support and put in its first green candle of the day.
How do you think Amazon's feeling after this fade?
I don't know. I don't think that this really makes a whole big of a difference to them.
No, but I mean, I'm just saying it's down multiple points from the highs after that warrant issuance. But anyway,
no, I got you. I feel like this could turn around here, but this is what I was thinking we might end up seeing with AAOI, and I mentioned it yesterday in happy hour because the move coming at the end of in the after hours not always translates into higher prints the next day. You want to see a lot of these news articles that move these stocks come out in the morning of the day that, of the day that they're going to move, not in the after hours, because a lot of that doesn't carry over the next day, especially in this kind of market.
Alexander, should we go long QQQ at the VWAP? What do you think? You tell me. Rustam, I don't think Ryan is 25. He looks 26. You guys are super nice, and I appreciate each and every one of you. I'll just throw that out there right now.
Yeah, you're turning 26 next week, right?
I mean, Monday.
There you go. Happy birthday.
TQQQ. If this continues, if the pull continues, we will flip and no longer watch SQQQ, but await TQQQ again for a move away from that VWAP. In fact, that pull alone, look at this, guys. That pull alone sunk us through the VWAP at 60.30, printed a low of 59. What is the actual low here? Printed a low of 59.50 and has already bounced 65 cents, 70 cents.
That went right down almost to exactly the 200 EMA on the 5 minute.
There you go.
really recaptured both that and the 65, but I think the VWAP's going to tell us if it's going to go higher or not. Also on the SPY, or maybe even the Qs are going to show it too. There might be a gap here. Nope, they don't have a gap on the Qs. SPY has a gap from when that consumer sentiment report came out. It just gapped right down from 558.45 to about almost a dollar.
Jay here, this is interesting. Now, I'm not trying to pick a side here, but an interesting thought process that I'm highlighting here. Consumer sentiment, FYI, Democrats are skewing it, thus I'm not buying it. I'm not saying you have to feel the same way here as Jay, but an interesting concept there, that number being skewed for political purposes, that would represent a buying opportunity. And look at the bounce we've already seen here, Jay. Sure looks like so far so good on that? Question mark?
The dip buyers are like perfect opportunities.
Dip buyers. I mean, I wonder how many dip buyers are left. They didn't get carried out in a stretcher, did they? I mean, I guess we really haven't sank that much yet.
No, we've. I mean, let's see where exactly we're at here, because we're already back above the 10% level. So, and this is kind of what we were alluding to with the bounce and the sideways action. This is more or less it. You know, I think we're gonna see this sideways trading for probably some time into next week.
200K put sweep here on Barrick Gold. This is one of the stocks that we took a look at here this morning. 200K put sweep and says maybe it's time for a bounce here. Maybe Barrick Gold kind of rolls over and it's time for the market to bounce here. Anyway, still green breath across the board with the Russell. Excuse me, the S&P. Wow, we have really green breath today. S&P 500, 16.5 to 1 on the breath meter. Russell 2000, 9.2 to 1. Interesting stuff. Let's take a look here at Tesla. That came back down to the 200 EMA on the 5 and is bouncing nicely off Tesla. Now I'm seeing calls roll across the tape here on the unusual option scanner. Tesla, ticker TSLA. SQQQ starting to diverge from the. Let's look at TQQQ. What a bounce, Jay! What a bounce, Jay! You might have been onto something here. You might have been onto something here. Besant, by the way, on. Oh, excuse me. This is a replay from yesterday. Sorry, I got it right there. My bad.
Yeah, Tesla with it's
at 13. While you break down Tesla, I'm gonna step away for just 1 sec. Okay. I'll be right back, buddy.
Yeah, no problem. So this is a recapturing its 500-day SMA. That's a really good sign. It's got a hold above it. The level that I have to the upside here, where we could find resistance at, is going to be the one that was providing support in February. That would be the 273 and 60 cent level. That was from the. Was this from the high? That was from the. It's about the middle range between the high from October 28th and the low from November 6th. So that could be an interesting level on the way back up. Still need to see more of a. We need to see a recapture of the 200-day SMA, and I'm not sure we're going to get that quite yet. This could be another situation where Tesla recovers a little bit, maybe pulls their RSI up from being underneath 30, which it already has started to do. And then we get up to some of these previous levels and it runs into some more resistance. As far as some of these other ones are going, like I was looking at some of the other Mag 7s and they're getting pretty close to forming some death crosses here. NVIDIA is one of them. So we might see some more weakness in NVIDIA here next week. Let's see. I know there was another one. I think Apple was the other one. Let me double check here.
I just got back. What?
I'm just looking at some of these Mag 7s that were starting to form death crosses. NVIDIA is about to start theirs. And let's see, did Meta end up hitting their 200-day SMA yet?
Meta's the only, I actually mentioned that this morning too. 13, it's as if you're reading my mind here. Meta, the only Mag 7 stock to not breach its 200-day yet. We're kind of waiting for that to happen here. I got to think this happens.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't happen today, but it's certainly a possibility next week. And then, we have all these some of these other ones that are starting to form death crosses. NVIDIA, we're going to get a death cross next week. I'm pretty sure of it. Apple might need a little bit longer than next week. Let's see what we got with some of these other ones.
I'm pretty sure about your death cross on NVIDIA as well.
Yeah. Now Microsoft's interesting because it has been the 50 and the 200 have been kind of oscillating back and forth, from October until recently, where we actually had a February move from the 50-day estimate crossing down through the 200. We could look at that as a death cross, but with the oscillation happening before it, I'm not sure how strong this one will be. It's not like a really big move, straight move down without any reaction like NVIDIA's about to have. Let's see some of these other ones, because I know that we're getting some other setups here. Google looks like that could happen soon as well. Go back to Tesla. Come on, chart. Tesla still has a ways to go for a death cross because they just went on this crazy rally.
Tesla is doing a really good job right now of holding the 500-day. To me, look, Williams percent R has this oversold. RSI has this oversold. MACD histogram has started to compress to move towards the positive end. To me, it sure seems like Tesla is setting up for a bounce here, but hard to play with all of the headlines and all of the negative sentiment out there.
Tyler, a death cross is when the 50-day moving average, a simple moving average, crosses the 200-day simple moving average to the downside.
Here's your best example of this about to happen. So here, I'll help your explanation, 13, with some visual aids. You had just mentioned that the death cross, you're confident that this is going to happen next week. Here you go. Yeah. You have the yellow line on the screen here is the 50-day. It is about to move through the blue line, which is the 200-day. The other thing that I don't want to get too into the weeds here, but the other thing that's really technical about death crosses, this 200-day is still sloping up. And so now if you have the 50-day crossing through it while it's sloping up, that is viewed as kind of a negative thing to have happen there. What was the other one? Microsoft, excuse me, MSFT.
Yeah.
This already had its death cross. Now you can see what happened. Here is the cross itself. Okay, look what happened on the day that this crossed. It moved down, and it has continued to move down since then.
Yeah.
So this is kind of what we're looking at. Tyler, let me know if that answers your question. He said, okay, thanks. I think that is.
Awesome. Yeah, and in longer term stocks, you're going to want to watch for those because when they happen, I think that's a really good sign to kind of wait for the selling to take place, and you'll get a better opportunity at these lower prices for the stock you're interested in if they've death crossed recently.
One other thing here, this guy is saying, why are all the big boys think Tesla is cheap? English, I'm not 100% sure where you're going there. I think what you're asking here, though, why do all the big boys think it is cheap? One thing that you have to remember here on Tesla is that Jay had kind of mentioned earlier regarding the consumer sentiment that one side of the political aisle might be affecting it. Well, the same can also be true for stocks. And it's certainly one of the things that we have been discussing in Happy Hour, and 13, you can speak to this as well. There definitely seems to be an anger over some of the different Trump comments out there, and Europeans and Canadians seem to be the most angry. And we are suspecting that we're seeing a lot of selling from European stockholders, including big European stockholders. You look at Tesla here, and you could totally make a case that this is showing that. This is a huge move down here. Now, what's going to happen? What's going to happen when those sellers are exhausted? Think back to what Mark Petrino said this morning. What's going to happen when all the sellers are exhausted? You tell me.
Yeah, and they're probably saying it's cheap because it's down over 55% from its high. I mean, if you believe the valuation when it was over 400 was accurate, then yeah, you're going to say that this is a huge discount.
Yeah, and I mean the other thing here, Sweet One doing a really good job tying some numbers here to Tesla here. Tesla's profits come mostly, I think is what you're trying to say here, come from autos, and their auto sales have been shrinking. Both of these things are factual. They talk a big game on AI, but it's mostly talk. Now, part of the thing here is that Tesla often, especially by the Tesla bulls, is viewed as a tech company more than just a car company here. Now, obviously, Martin, not a car company. Martin, I can't tell if this is sarcasm or if I can't tell, and I don't want to assume because I don't want to make an ass out of you and me, but sure seems like if you have sentiment shifting on a company here, and that belief that it's more than what it actually is, that belief of it being a tech company is starting to wane, well, that could also really kind of increase the move to the downside or the sell-off to the downside here. Jay here saying, I don't think anybody thinks Tesla is cheap. I certainly don't think it's cheap.
Yeah, I mean, there was a headline that they're planning on coming out with some kind of 20% lower cost Model Y that's going to be built in Shanghai starting in 2026. Mm-hmm. So that's a little ways out. I don't know if that's something that I'd be excited about right now. Yeah, there's a lot of competition right now for EVs coming out of China, and there's mentioned that European Union countries are not really happy with Tesla right now. I got to think this is probably going to continue to come in.
So here we go. Let's get the opinions rolling here. I absolutely love this. Jamie Diamond here, our resident bear. Large-scale Musk Tesla boycott is underway. Extreme politics and business don't mix. I agree with you on that, my man. Tapas here saying their PE is ridiculous. If you look at it as an automaker. So let's do that here real quick. Forward PE on Tesla, 84.74. The industry average is 25. Tapas is right hitting the nail on the head there. So whenever they position, whatever they position as is what you need it to be looked at it as. I know what you're trying to say there, but you're reminding people, take a look at the actual price to earnings multiple here. And you can see it's clearly higher. Sorry, get in there.
No, it's okay. My opinion on Tesla is that they have so much riding on full self-driving, and I think the survivability of their lead in EV in America is dependent upon that. I won't say that their developments in AI haven't been for nothing. I just think that they just haven't built out the system, and I'm not talking about physically, but the full self-driving AI systems that they're trying to develop. They're not finished with that yet. So I don't think that we're going to see a return from that for some time. And like I said earlier about full self-driving, I think the whole company's valuation right now is kind of based upon whether or not that works. That's just my opinion, though. All right, let's go back to being a Carnival Bank Barker for, he should. I think that's a lot of people's views is that he shouldn't be in the position he's at with Doge. He should be going back to his companies and focusing on SpaceX and Tesla. And there's a good portion of me that thinks that would be much better for the stock. Just don't know what he. I don't want to speculate any further than that, to be honest.
Kathy here saying, I think when people are slapping disclaimer bumper stickers on their Tesla, they might be an issue greater than European sellers. Fair point. Yeah. The point that I was making about the European sellers, that affects more stocks than just Tesla. So keep that in mind as well. There are other stocks that are being sold for that same effect. Kathy also went on to say that Bond keeps getting halted to the upside. Look, I told you earlier here that I don't think this stock is tradable. When I say that, I mean for me, just because I can't deal with these halt fests. But you're right here. This thing absolutely ripping to the upside after just a couple of pullbacks. We did have a couple of downside halts on this.
This is not the red light, green light that you're used to playing. This is Squid Game's red light, green light.
Okay.
So just be careful with these stocks that constantly halt. Like, sure, this was a correct, sentiment that I had here about this, moving up out of the gate because it's got hammered in the pre-market, and this is just one of those junky names that can do this, and here we are. But this isn't something that I'd be wanting to trade, because we could get out of one halt, and all these moves that we're seeing could get completely wiped out. This could get completely wiped out. We don't want to be caught in that. So I'm just, if I was trading this, I'd be trying to get out before every halt, and that's going to be very difficult to do. So you just go ahead and trade this how you're going to trade it. Just understand the risks with what you're doing here.
Make sure you're able to get some gains on this. And I mean, look, here's the thing. Like, if you trade this and on your first trade you're in the green, great. Maybe lower your positions. Just make sure you don't give that money back, right? You're trading something that is inherently full of risk. We had a bunch of other chat members mentioning that this is a China pump and dump, and to be careful and move on in the whole 9 yards. Just know what you're trading. If you get gains on it, make sure you put the gains in your pocket. Don't give them back to anybody. That's the only advice I can give you. I'm going to stay away from that all day here today. LAES, we talked about this one earlier. This made a nice little impulse move, came back to the VWAP. For now, though, we really want this to kind of set up and then move through the VWAP. Let's take a look at our Q ETFs and see where we're at. Okay, TQQQ. Maybe if this sells off a little bit more, maybe 59.50, maybe 59.60, could take a look at this one for a potential trade. We'll see. I'll let you know.
Let's see here. Yeah, GV, that was great just to avoid that one altogether.
I completely agree.
AAOI. So that one, AAOI, this one that had the news yesterday, the Amazon warrants. This one that went down to 1980 and is seems to be bouncing, but I don't think we're going to go much higher than where we're at now. We might. But I'm not going to make any predictions here. It just this pattern just looks bearish to me.
I tell you what, AAOI not being able to reclaim that VWAP is what the kids call a red flag, and I wouldn't really be interested in that. What do we think about the Oklo daily chart? Look at how much
big move down in the market. This time of the SQQQ pop.
Okay, that did pop a little bit here. That is the big move, or the bigger part of the move here is in the NASDAQ. So we're seeing that here. Folks, I'd like to know what you'd think about this OKLO chart. Are we at a buy spot here? You tell me. No, just I don't want to influence one way or another. Just wondering if we're at a buy spot here. Let me go back to the if we have the SQQQ popping to the highs, then it's the TQQQ that we want to watch to the lows here. Let's see if we can get that $1 extension here. Can we look at Costco? Dude,
sure.
You can always look at Costco. I'm going to look at the inside of a Costco tomorrow. Here we go. And actually, you know what? Allsorts, thank you for reminding me, because I told myself, I said, should I buy some of this yesterday after this thing really got pounded yesterday? Let's get the bigger chart here for Costco and do that.
Real quick with Oklo, if this does move back up, I think it's going to run into resistance around 32. So there might be a $7 move there if you're willing to play that, but I don't know how fast we get up there, or if we can't even get up there. But that if we are going to trade up, I think 32 is about where you're going to see some resistance begin to kick in.
Okay. Costco here losing the 200-day moving average. So one of the things that I'd really like to see here on Costco, I do think we have a consolidation area here that the bottom end of that range is kind of like this 870 here. The yen carry trade unwind low here is 797. I do think that this is possible if the market really falls apart. But very much like our Dollar General thesis, I do think that consumers are going to be trading more towards Costco and Walmart. Costco, by the way, also their CEO had said recently that the tariff situation shouldn't really affect them unless it's a very, very long duration. Otherwise, they're fairly prepared for this. I do kind of like this here. I don't know if I want to add to it on a Friday. Let me reassess when I'm closer to the close here. I'm not sure if I want to add on a Friday. I do kind of feel like it's a knife, catching a falling knife. I'll tell you what, if we reclaim this 200, or if it looked like we were going to reclaim that 200, I'd feel pretty good about this. Costco.
I'm concerned about Walmart. I don't know if I would want to put that in my lineup of stores that consumers are going to flock to if they are having their wallets pinched. And the reason I say that is because Walmart's been one that has always had really cheap products, and now that you have a lot of tariffs being piled on to imports out of China, what Walmart has done is gone and tried to ask those suppliers out of China to reduce their costs so they can offset some of those tariff effects. And Beijing stepped in and said, no, that's not happening. So Walmart might not have the best product pricing if they're not able to negotiate lower costs from their suppliers. Whereas, Costco's not going to be as affected as much, and Dollar General definitely not going to be as affected.
Yeah, as much. The Dollar General breakdown that you gave was great. Dollar General here, by the way, a little bit lower. That was awesome. That was able to give me some entry here on that. If that moves lower, we might even add today again. Real quick here, Costco, that 20% from the highs move. The level that represents 20% off of the all-time high here, right around 862. I think that makes a pretty good spot to buy. Might even actually put an order out there and see if it gets filled. 862. Costco.
My levels for Costco, we're coming down to one right now. I have 874. That was a support area. I'm sorry, a resistance turn support area. Resistance was back in June of 2024. Took almost
what did you say? 864? Sorry,
874.
I found it here. I just want to try and mark it off. 874. There. Oh, there it is. Here. There it is. Yeah. There it is. How did I do there?
And you had the volume profile showed it was right at that level when you narrowed in a little bit earlier.
Right here.
Right there. So not too far away from that 874, and I was drawing on that from the high in June of 18th. That was, it says 873.96. So round that up to 874. And then that was the level to get through. And they finally did in August after the yen carry trade unwind. And once it broke through that level, it leaned on it as support for September, October, and November before it finally moved up and away off of that level. And here we are testing it. Sorry.
All good. The other thing to keep in mind here on Costco, we are extremely oversold. We are oversold on the RSI. It's actually one of the lowest RSI readings I've seen in ever. We're oversold on the Williams %R. The MACD showing some oversold area there. Lion here saying Costco could come down to 860. That would actually just be overshooting these levels by a smidge. I think that's a pretty good level there. Yeah. Jay, you're mentioning Walmart and Costco. I think it's a PE contraction, just like Apple. He means AAPL, not APPL. It's a price to PE contraction. PE for Costco here, 49.2. That is more than twice the industry average. Jay, not bad there at all. All expensive, and when growth is slowing, they are suspect. So there you go. Costco, ticker COST. Good stuff there, group.
Crocodile Dummy saying Bond, that is in another halt now after popping up as high as
you kidding me?
295, and then look, we said this could do this, but there's so much risk involved with trying to capture this and trade it to the upside. You don't know when this is going to pull on you. I'm perfectly happy. Just the fact that I was saying this is one of those names where we could completely get movement like this because it's been it's completely hammered off that high, and it's a junky pump name. We've seen this tape before. It's going to be one of those things where it doesn't do anything in the pre-market after the pop, and then it just goes on this crazy halt fest. We've seen these so many times before. This was just I was really lucky in saying that this was one of the ones that could do it, because here we are.
Okay. Good stuff there. Good stuff there. Sweet One says Dollar General seems like it could have some legal risks to me. Specifically, an overarching lawsuit seems to be ongoing.
I don't know that that's going to materially impact them.
Especially if the consumer is trading down and they're seeing an influx of consumers. I'm just not sure. Ed is saying, sorry, what's the difference in SQQQ and TQQQ? SQQQ goes higher as the Qs goes down. TQQQ goes higher as the Qs go up. They mirror the QQQ. Glenn mentioning ONDS. Just another quick update for those that missed my update yesterday. So the earnings here, definitely the reaction after the earnings is disappointing. What's more disappointing to me than any of this is the reaction after the positive news, but that's another story here. How did I handle this, you might ask? Well, didn't sell any of it. In fact, I added to it, and I added to it in the 50s and the 60-cent area. So I'm actually higher than all of the ads that I've made on this recently. Strategy here, I still have a long-term belief here. 13, you had asked me a question last time we were on if they look to raise capital. I believe they've got more than enough money to fund everything that they need to do through 2025. I do not expect a capital raise or more dilution on this stock. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I just don't expect it here. I added to my position such that now when we start popping over $1, I really reduce my cost basis. When we start popping over $1, I'm going to sell partial into those pops, at least so I can trade some of this back and forth. One of the things that, especially from you guys that have been kind of trading this recently, one of the things that is very, very clear is that there was definitely some money to be made here, as well as some protection to be done by trading some of the back and forth swings. So added to my position, still going to keep a core that I'm hoping to sell for double digits years down the road. But in the meantime, added to it, lowered my cost basis. Will actually trade around this position on pops now. So I'm hoping for another 30 cents here, and we'll start talking about selling that. Still have my long-term view.
Wisdom, have yourself a wonderful day. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you on Monday. Daniel, you're saying bond feels easy to trade. Look, I don't want to say that it's not. I'm just saying for me, it's not something that I would find the most comfort in trading. But if this is something that is really easy for you, hang on to that talent. Stick to your rules, and I think you'll do just fine. If this is easy to trade for you, that's great. Don't let me change your mind. Bond halted down. It halted on a red candle, but it was after popping up to new highs in the regular session. So technically, it is halted down after popping up to a new high.
I'm just glad I'm avoiding it, frankly. And by the way, there were a couple of penny stocks that are ripping here too. I know Bond's ripping. Soon, SUNE is ripping, and then also there was another one that just disappeared off the thing there. Damn. There was another one that I literally just looked at it. Can't remember what that ticker was, but there's a couple of penny stocks running. I'm staying away from them. Doesn't really matter.
Oh, I'm sorry, Wisdom. I thought you were splitting there.
Who did you insult?
I didn't insult him. I was just I thought he was leaving because oh, here we go. Bond open.
I was just kidding. I know you didn't insult anybody. You're way too kind for that. Glenn said I bought ONDS at 59 the other day. Yeah, I think that was my fill, 59.15 or 59.16 or something like that. I was basically buying when it broke 60 cents, and I bought again at 63 cents. So yeah, did all right there. Fairchild, many lawsuits on DG overcharging. Many lawsuits on DG for overcharging, beg your pardon, won't make a ripple. Customers are ambivalent, jaded, believing that they are always being ripped off by everyone. I see them shrug it off all the time. Fairchild, that's good stuff.
Yes, thank you. And the quantum names are still going, making new highs. QBTS, Ionic, and QUBT about to make new intraday highs. Currently, the high is 665. And we're just knocking on the door of making new highs.
QBTS just made new highs, just popped to those new highs there.
Oh, yeah.
QMCO, same deal, although that pulled off that spot, did go up there. Yeah, I see the news. Trudeau has formally stepped down as Canada's prime minister. Any of you folks that were telling me that Carney was going to win the standoff with Trump, care to revise your statement at all? And if you're a fan of The Fugitive, do you want to change your bullshit story?
Brian, I don't care.
Well done, 13. Well done with the Fugitive. Oh, I did not see that one coming. That was pretty good here. QMCO, huge volume pop there. TGTX, what happened there?
TGTX?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't looked at that one today, I don't think.
Jay saying, oops. What happened? It's up 5% here.
Unless the oops came from that red candle at 1010.
Strategic positioning growth potential drive buy rating. Jeffries analyst looking like they're putting a buy here on TGTX.
This is kind of wild how this has been in such an uptrend for a good period of time now. since 2023, it seems. So this is on a real recovery here. Gosh, does this even get up to the 56.75 area? Because it looks like it's trying to. It's like a bit of a rounding a double bottom here on the longer time frame. So even you back out even more. Maybe even look at a weekly if you have to. Yeah. So you see what I'm saying about how this is starting to come back up? It's I don't know enough to know that we're going to get up there, but the technicals are certainly insinuating that this is trying to get back up to that.
And
level.
It does seem like their flagship drug Briumvi is really starting to ramp now. This actually looks like a nice breakout through 36. Jay, are you in this, Jay? Remind me.
Let's see here.
Let me know. I will say this. They will find the gold on Oak Island this week. Dude, I wish I had your confidence. I honestly do. I don't think they're going to find that, but my God, if they find any gold, I mean, if they find one coin from the 1700s, I'm going to lose my shit. I'm going to be so excited.
Will the show be over then?
I don't think so, because what they'll do then is they'll probably excavate everything, looking for every trace, and then also piece together how that got there. That's one of the things that I like about the show. It doesn't need the treasure. I want to know the story. What were people doing there? They've got like ship's logs and physical evidence and structures and covering the entire island that date back to like the 1600s. Something happened there. You guys got me off on a tangent now.
Yeah.
I'm in yes, thinking about it. I'm investing in Devlin McGregor. I hear Provasic is going to be a huge drug for them. Oh, guys. Fugitive memes and quotes will get you everywhere, frankly. Okay. They die. By the way, that's in Chicago. They dye the river green in that movie. It's awesome. Yep. I'm gonna watch that here.
Jay Rice. So yeah, I do remember when it was 15. Is your thought on PGTX is that we are going to go to that $56 level?
Who were you asking? Jay?
Jay Rice, because he was the one that brought up TGTX. He was asking us if it was $15. It's more than doubled now.
Jay's asking me if I remember when it was 15. Bro, I was trading it. I was long on the show here when it was 15. I'm actually pissed I don't still have it. To be quick, if you want the honest truth, should have still been in there. I'm feeling good on a Friday. Yeah, you're damn right. I'm feeling really good on a Friday.
It's been a good day.
Wisdom. Unfortunately, I can't get my gift to you for your birthday. I wanted to send it to you. You need my producer. Okay, I appreciate you. Gifts are not required by any means. But if you do that, I'll probably laugh a little. I'd be a little nervous. Like you'd have some doll of me and a G-string, or I don't know, Wisdom. You are off your rocker in some case. I mean that in a good way, just to be clear. He will find gold the size of a tennis court. Crocodile dumb me, just tying the weave together. Just saying, nope, we're tying this entire weave together. You guys are awesome.
So
whoever said this, though, that show is a big tease, without a doubt.
Oak Island's going to be for tourists then.
Actually, they already have. From what I understand, like in the off season, like you can actually go tour it. Just saying, I'd like that. I know I'm a dork, but I'd like that. It is what it is.
All right, Market, what are you doing? By the way, we passed our 10:30 timestamp here, so volume should be starting to leave the market here until after the lunch hour. Let's see what the SPY's got going.
CRVO coming back on.
CRVO.
Yeah, this was a ripper from Wednesday.
Okay.
And it basically did nothing yesterday, but it's trying to curl and might take out some of those levels today.
It did a lot yesterday. Actually, it sold off quite a bit yesterday.
CRVO?
Yeah, I see that in the pre-market. We got a high of 832, and then that was it in the pre-market. The whole day, the morning it sold off. And then it kind of just went sideways.
Do I not have candles on here? What the?
Yeah, there you go. See, we
go.
We popped up in the pre-market, and then we just spent the whole day selling off.
Mark, can you imagine if that crane pulls Solomon's golden menorah out of the ground? No, I can't. And I'll tell you something, man. If you find, and I will be the first to be extremely surprised if they find any type of like religious artifact like that. I think is a bridge too far. I can see them finding buttons, coins, tools, all of that stuff. But an effing religious artifact like King Solomon's menorah or the Holy Grail, forget it, dude. I don't even know. That would be one of the biggest TV events in history if that happened. They would set up for that for weeks ahead of time.
Some levels for CRVO. 655 seems like the one that they're about to break. That would lead me to think that we are going to probably see somewhere in the high 680s to $7 as the next resistance area. Beyond that, I would be looking at 750, and then the high that we put in the pre-market on yesterday.
Okay. Robert, if you go, call me. I'll go with you. We'll tour it together. We'll take pictures, and then we'll report back to the group. I'm in there. Izzy says the Michigan group, the folks that own a winery in Michigan. It's called Mari's Vineyard. I've actually never had it, but I've heard it's amazing. I've heard that wine is actually really, really good.
The quantum stocks are still making new highs, but I feel like they may be coming to an end of their run soon.
Rigetti, man, look at the buying candles on Rigetti. There were 3 5-minute windows today total where there were more sellers than buyers. That's unreal. You guys are mentioning Tesla? Is that ripping? I took my eyes off. We had so much fun, and I started talking about Oak Island, and I got crazy there. Tesla here is curling.
Yeah, I feel like some of these quantum names are starting to get a little extended. I'm not going to say that they're done trading up for the day, but I feel like we're going to be seeing them come in at some point soon. Here.
And I will say this: I'm seeing Twitter and trading groups hit these quantum names. So that's going to be a crowded trade if that continues all day. Just keep that in mind.
That's a little concerning for me. If they're talking about this, then they're probably also talking about where to exit.
Yeah,
you might see a big exit at the same time.
Yeah, someone is calling here QBTS more calls. I didn't see it, but the price action is really kind of showing you that. Lunar's popping?
At some point it was going to have to. This thing was just absolutely slaughtered.
So just kind of like a reflexive oversold bounce, or what?
Yeah, that's all I was kind of thinking. We might look at this thing. So we had this huge drop, and we've been consolidating now for pretty much the entire week. This nothing but consolidation. Let's see if we can get this. If this stock turns around and recaptures a 500-day SMA next week, that might be our earliest indicator that this wants to go back up to 10. Just a fantastic gap fill. And I'm referring to the gap from September, the middle of September. It's not a very big. Well, I guess we didn't necessarily exactly fill the gap, but we hit.
Is this lunar?
Yeah. Back in September, there was a little,
I see. We're down here. I got you. I see it.
Yeah, there was a little gap. It hasn't exactly been filled because the gap was created from September to 17th to 18th, and it only came down to the high from the 16th before it reversed. So I would still want to see it recapture the 500-day SMA. I think that'd be your earliest indicator that it's going to try and come back up. All right. Well,
how's AAOI doing? Okay, so that fade at least stopped. We got a bounce, but that's kind of a crummy bounce, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I was saying earlier that this looked like a bear flag. So it hasn't really resolved that way yet, but I think it looks bearish either way. Maybe it tries to get back up to 23 on a break of the 200 EMA on the 5-minute, but the volume doesn't look great. It's going to need the volume to even get it back up there. So if we get that expansion, great. But if not, then I think it's going under 20 again. I remember seeing this earlier too. Rocket. Oh, and Trade Desk. Yeah, let's talk those. Trade Desk.
I was going to say, someone was asking. So we've actually had a couple of questions here on the Trade Desk. And you know what? Shoot, you know what I should have done, guys? I should have asked Mark Petrino about this one, right? Because look at where this thing has fallen from. First of all, this thing printed 140 in December of last year. We cut in half and almost cut in half again. I mean, at some point, like there's going to be a bounce here, and it's going to be spectacular. And we should have asked Mark about that. Maybe 42 here. This thing has been straight down. You want to talk about? Jay kind of hinted on this earlier. When growth starts to not grow anymore and everything's expensive, look out. I really think that's what happened here with TTD.
Death Cross.
And, do you? Here, let me go back to my other chart. We can actually show that since we talked about that too. Boy, you're tying the weave together too. Let's go.
I'm a basket weaver today.
Oh my. Oh my. What effing stock where was I just looking at?
TTD.
Thank you. Good Lord, Ryan. I'm thinking about treasure now. You guys, I mean, it's my own fault. I've got nobody to blame but myself. Anyway, here's a trend line on Trade Desk that we talked about, I think, yesterday, right?
Yes. I think
this might be our another spot. Dude, look how oversold this is. 16 on the RSI, minus 98 on the Williams percent R. Good Lord, is this stock oversold?
Yeah, there's your death cross.
And here's your death cross.
On March 4th. And since then, we've gone nowhere but down. I think we'll probably see a bounce somewhere around 46, 45. That would based on this trend line, that's about where I think we could see the support start to kick in. But man, to your point about this being oversold, it certainly is. So it wouldn't surprise me if you get a bounce earlier than that. And we're seeing this is all because we're seeing a lot of these overvalued names really come back in. This thing was overvalued like crazy, and there's a growth scare. This is a growth stock, so a lot less appealing to investors right now. If there is a bounce, I don't think that we get too much higher than maybe 68.
Okay,
but I still think the real bottom is going to be somewhere around the mid to low 40s.
Here real quick, Lion says I think 52 is great support. We also had we talked about this I think yesterday when we looked at this Needham, right? Wasn't I pronouncing it incorrectly? You guys corrected me. Needham, not Needham. Anyway, Needham reiterates buy on Trade Desk 145 price target. Judge, take care of yourself.
Take care, Judge.
Have a great weekend, Judge. Keep putting positivity into our world. We need more of that, my man. You're great.
Wow, look at Ionic. That thing is just absolutely tearing it up right now. This is going to come in hard. I feel. I just don't know when.
One of the things that I'm seeing here is that some of these Momo names that really got shellacked, they're just kind of moving here. They're having like the really good days. Like we've talked about all of the quantum names, right? So I don't think I need to roll through all of them. What's RCAT doing? Okay, RCAT's up almost 14%. This name was definitely a drone Momo name that got absolutely destroyed. Even Ondas. Even ONDS up 8% here. So some of these names that really kind of went crazy, they seem to be the ones that are bouncing here today.
All those most of those wild names from the end of the year last year. The drones, the quantum, nuclear, and the space. I mean, if you look at the space stocks today, every single one on my list is green. Every single one, especially SIDU. Yeah, SIDU, that one's up the most. There must have been news on that one. Let's see.
Even Lunar? I mean, if Lunar's the one that's really been struggling.
Even Lunar. They're all up. Let's see, SIDU. Okay, so here we go. Launch window for their Lizzie satellites. This is, because this is the company that's going to be putting a data center on the moon. So then the Lizzie satellites are one of their flagship products they have. So they're targeting a launch window for March 14th. Well, that starts today. So we may see a launch in some of these satellites, the Lizzie Sats 3 satellites soon, maybe over the weekend, maybe next week. If the launch window starts today, maybe as early as today. What's so funny?
The wisdom, man. He is just... We'll share some of these. How much time do we have? I don't want to go off the rip. We got 13 minutes. Wisdom. First of all, I'm really impressed. It's actually not inappropriate.
Let's
number one.
Let's get through Rocket and then let's
okay. 13's like we gotta get through some of the serious shit first before you go off on your tangent.
Work before play, damn it. All right. So Rocket, I think the question was, is this, moving because housing is starting to come back? And we had a great conversation in Happy Hour yesterday about one of our, I don't know if she's here right now, but Felicia was really giving us the scoop on some of the views that, let's see here, I have the name of the company, the Cromford
Report. Yep.
Yeah. And they were saying that, let's see, rates are trending down while bond buying is going up. Luxury market is holding up. Demand is rising for homes, but supply is rising faster. They believe that once the rates across the nation, the average gets under 6.1, sellers are expected to return to the market. Builders are less worried about prices and the and workers, especially the ones that are at risk of being deported. They're not as worried about that. They're more worried about buyer perception. They also mentioned that rentals are also down due to over inventory.
Didn't that same report also kind of mention that it's unlikely that housing prices really kind of drop, especially in some areas? I feel like, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, they were saying that they anticipate not so much a quick drop or a spike down in home sale or home valuations. They think it's going to be a steady decline that won't lead to housing prices getting hammered so much. They think it's going to be kind of like a systematic lowering of prices and then buyers will start stepping in, because this is going to be a buyer's market.
And that would also really kind of stray from what we've seen in the past when we've actually had like a serious housing crisis, right? Like we're not necessarily expecting housing prices to plummet, people to all of a sudden be upside down on the mortgage. Then that fans into some other problem. We do not expect that this time around. And I think that's important.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
So just, several things that we were seeing, we were hearing out of that report really kind of gave us some direction of where the housing market is headed. And so with that in mind, it does seem like some of these mortgage companies like Rocket, Loan Depot, United Wholesale, they could end up doing much better later on this year. And not to mention, those companies also have some pretty high short interest. Rocket, for example, having 14.6% of the float shorted with almost 5 days to cover. That's squeezy. I think you're going to start to see some of these names come back up, especially if we do end up getting rate cuts later on this year.
I agree. I think when the market starts sniffing out the date of those rate cuts, I think you're going to, I'm with you, 13. I think you're going to have a number of moves in these, and I'm going to be with you to trade that one. Yep. I'm going to be with you to trade that one. Okay.
All right, fun time.
No. Well, the other thing is that I noticed here that the market is actually at the high. So if we take, I hate when I click on the wrong thing. I keep doing it too. We take a look here at the market. We are actually at the highs of the day here. This has me looking at SQQQ. I don't think we're at that spot yet. Yeah, not quite. We want to see this come in a little bit more, but I think we might actually set up for another trade here. Okay. Wisdom has been busy. Wisdom has been busy coming up with some things to celebrate my birthday. First one that he's got here is me golfing in 1482. So apparently it's almost a version of polo, as I see someone riding around on a horse there. Didn't know they made those hats back in 1482, but nonetheless. We also have this one. Now, this one I didn't really think through, because you take too much of a swing and you put that golf ball right into those monitors. That's no bueno. I don't know about that.
Well, you're putting there, so.
Well, hey, sometimes things get crazy, 13. And then, of course, the last one here, just getting right on the top. How did I get my ball there? How did it land there and stay there? I don't know. How did I get up there? Not sure. May all your shots come from above.
I'm sure that's not the first time you've asked yourself that on the course.
No, it isn't. No, as a matter of fact, it isn't. Wisdom, I did get a chuckle out of this. I do appreciate it. Thank you. And thank you all, by the way, for just kind of your support, hanging out here and really trying to push our community aspect that we're trying to grow here. I'm thankful every day that you folks are here and able to do that. So really good stuff.
A couple of things that have happened since we've been having these fun times. Jonathan Cooper pointed out MLGO nasty. This thing just did MLGO things, and it's still doing MLGO things. got as high as 460, and that was it. That was the first 10 minutes of the market being open, and now we're down at 384, just losing all kinds of levels here. So,
Sweet one here saying, I feel like rate cuts are always a carrot being moved further in front of our noses, sort of like how the 2% inflation target is pulled out of thin air. I mean, inflation was transitory. Am I right, my guy?
yeah.
I am with you on this, though. I do think that, especially like the people on TV, and just market experts, like they definitely talk about this, like rate cuts are coming. Rate cuts are coming. I mean, even Trump, who wants rate cuts, they do the same thing there. I think that's spot on, Sweet one.
Yeah, understand that the Fed is very slow to act. They are always late to rate cuts, to rate raises. We just had a whole series of rate raises and rate cuts over the past few years, and they pretty much lagged the entire time. Now, here's the other thing: once we do start getting rate cuts, it's going to take some time for them to work their way through the economy. Figure 6 to 9 months at the earliest, 9 to 12 months at the longest. So we get a rate cut tomorrow. We're probably not going to see the effects of that make its way through the economy until maybe September or later.
OKLO here, by the way, this is actually curling up. This actually might break out. I wonder how SMR and NNE are doing with that. SMR is already, wow. So these are actually starting to juice here a little bit. Again, kind of going back to those that have made pretty big momentum runs earlier, seem to be the ones that are doing it again. We're seeing more of that here.
Yeah, these quantum names are just absolutely going parabolic now. Qubit, Ionic, QBTS, Rigetti. We're also getting LAES, Seals SQ Corp. That one just made a new high.
Who was that brought this up? Was it Izzy this morning? Who was this that had us look at this?
I don't know, but it was one of our smart guys in here.
Right, but there was another piece of news there. Sorry, I guess that's where I was trying to get there. Thank you, Mimi. Enjoy your birthday weekend. Wishing you many more. I appreciate that,
Izzy.
and I will absolutely spend that with me. Yes,
it was Izzy. Yep.
Yep.
Also, some other developments here. Bond might finally be finished with its halt fest. This is starting to put in more of a bearish pattern, having a hard time holding above the VWAP. I would say this is probably going to find its next area of support on the way down around 175, but this is just not my kind of thing right now. I would be careful here, but it does look like it wants to go lower.
How glad am I that I was saying, hey, if you guys get gains in this,
how glad are you?
Very, because again, we had this thing. This one, I think we probably had flagged better than others from the very beginning. We knew that this was one to avoid. It did end up moving. Hopefully, nobody got hurt there. Heeded our warnings, as they say.
Yeah, and Baiynd, that's fine. Don't trust any of the numbers that are coming out of the government, but trust what the market does with those numbers. Always play what they're gonna do, and maybe because you don't have to trust the numbers. You just have to trust the reaction of the market.
By the way, Crocodile Dummy, that 18 pack of eggs from Costco were tiny. They were the large size, but the eggs were smaller. I didn't notice the eggs being a different size. I paid $7 for my 18 pack.
Wisdom, it's in August.
You got plenty of time to work on those big ideas.
Oh, man.
Gurr, by the way, look at this. Look at Gurr here.
Wow, that thing is great.
Just huge. I should have seen that one coming. It's just defenseless.
Tony the Tiger here.
Tony the Tiger. This thing staircase to heaven on this one. Big move here on Gurr. And by the way, watching the market try and break out here would be great. Don't think because I'm joking around and smiling from ear to ear that I forgot about SQQQ. Still would like to see this extend from the VWAP and give us yet another opportunity. Might have to tighten it up a little bit. Might not get a full dollar here. Might have to start adding that a little bit prior to that level.
Have a good weekend, Line.
Yeah, take care of yourself, Line. Don't forget here real quick, though, we do have Anne-Marie coming up. So for those of you that want option plays, Anne-Marie's coming. I believe that she floated Waste Management, ticker WM, earlier, and also IWM, which is one, we talk about the small caps and the IWM regularly here. So looking forward to those.
Oh, so Waste Management was one of the ideas that you guys were talking about earlier this week, or?
No, Waste Man. Anne-Marie was here earlier, and I believe that she said she had a trade lined up on Waste Man. I hope I didn't make a mistake and just completely bust throw her, because that's not the intention. Pretty sure I read WM. So we'll see here. Nonetheless, what I can confirm for you, she's coming up here shortly. We're going to find some option trades for you.
You can draw a trend line with this. I mean, we did pop above this trend line in July, but for the most part, this trend line that starts in April 1st of last year and goes.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to put this on the bigger chart, 13. Give me one sec here.
Yeah, well, waste management. I'm exposed to this through my utility ETF, the IDU. I like the IDU because it has waste management and RGS in it. I believe that's the one. Is it RGS or RSG? RGS. No, okay, RGS. Oh, no. You're right. It was RSG.
I was going to say, I thought it was
Republic Services. Yeah.
Okay. Where's the trend line on this?
Oh, let me go back to that. So that starts from April 1st last year, or March 28th. I'm sorry, whichever one that peak is back in 2024 in the first quarter.
That's right in here. No, here.
It should be March 28th or April 1st, one of the two. There you go.
Yeah, right here.
So I started with that peak, and I ran it through the high of November 29th. There you go, and just keep going. There you go. That's the trend line I was looking at there.
There you go.
So that's been kind of keeping the price down multiple times. Looks like for about almost a year now, that trend line has come into play. Meanwhile, we keep leaning on the $200 level as support. So that's been kind of the range we've been trading in. Is this rising trend line with the $200 level being support?
Okay. All right, good stuff there. I'm sure Anne-Marie's also gonna have some technical analysis to do on this before we actually set up the trade. So looking forward to that. Okay, 13, before we get rolling here, we do have, we're actually over. Closing words for the group.
Oh, folks, great week this week. You know, we've been really killing it, especially today with these quantum trades coming back. Don't lose anything that you've gained today. You've done really well. Just take the gains, go into the weekend, the happy smile on your face, maybe get some sun, and we'll come back here on Monday and we'll do this all over again. Have a good weekend, folks. I'll see you later.
Okay, and I am stalking an entry here on SQQQ as we pull to the lows and accelerate more from that VWAP. We'll see if we get it here. 13's departure leaves room for Anne-Marie. Let's go ahead and bring her on and see how she's doing. Anne-Marie, good morning. Happy Friday. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. The blood moon brought the buyers, and it's been buy on the dip. As soon as that exit liquidity got shaken out on the fade, it's been running straight up, and I do think we might see quite a reflexive squeeze over the next few days.
Interesting. I could have sworn that someone earlier this week said we were going to the bounce house. You have to remind me if that happened. Good Lord. All right, here we go. Here's your heat map. Boy, that's a lot of green. That, I'll tell you what, Anne-Marie, that looks like my birthday right there. That looks like St. Patrick's Day.
Nice. Nice. It's Pi Day today.
It is.
So
how many digits can you recite pi to?
2.
3.14. That's what we That's what we discovered earlier. Good stuff there. Okay. So I don't know if you just heard, but I think, did I get that right? You wanted to take a look at waste management earlier today?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So we'll do that. We can do the IWM too, I think is what you said.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
We sure can. We sure can. So as just a big framework, folks, I want to, and I've got waste management, we'll put the monthly chart up just because we want to see where we are in the space. Here's the thing. Waste management is an amazing company to buy and hold. Amazing. Why? We're never going to get rid of our trash, and nobody wants to do that.
We are garbage producing machines.
Aren't we though? Aren't we though? So this is coming into a pretty nice place where it's going to have a pretty solid bounce. Okay. The big thing I want to show you right now, just so that we know where we are. A lot of people are very surprised by this move to the upside. And so what I want to share with you is that, one, the market is a naturally bullish machine. Two, big money buyers move on big time frames. And three, that crazy statistic that says full moons are places that buying takes place in the market.
Is that
Turns
actually
out,
a thing? I'm
yeah,
embarrassed. I don't.
70% of the time, buy the new moon, buy the full moon, sell the new moon.
You learn something every day on this show. I'll tell you that much.
70%.
That's unreal. I've never
Yeah,
followed that before. Interesting.
bananas. Yeah, that's why I have a moon phase calendar on my phone. Well, I'm a stargazer also. I love looking at the sky. It's
Oh, me
some of
too.
my favorite stuff to do. And we have some light pollution here, but not a ton. And so I love that. But here's what we're looking at in the monthly chart. We came down to that 550. Here's another thing, big, fat, round number. 550. The 50s, the aughts, huge numbers in price action. Now, I believe this reflexive bounce is going to send us into another leg lower, but we are very oversold. And so here's what we look for: big fat round number, full moon cresting, weekly and monthly areas of support where all we see is reflexive buying, and it tells us if a big bet's coming in, this is where they're betting. This is where they're betting. And so the lows got bought at 3 p.m. yesterday afternoon, and every dip has been bought since then. And so now the question is, okay, Fred, I hear you, but where are we going? And what can we do in that short term? Here's something else. If you've never traded in a bear market, which is what I think we are actually entering, you are going to see reflexive upside moves that will blow your mind. You will say, I cannot believe this market is moving like this. Same thing when it moves lower, it's going to go even lower than you think it's going to go. On top of that, even as price action moves all the way around, volatility is still staying up. This tells us that traders are getting comfortable with volatility. And so as they get comfortable with volatility, watch for volatility to rise. So that's the backdrop. Let's take a look at
What's interesting about that, really quickly, Anne Marie, is that the VIX today feels like it's melted. We were at what, just above 24 here in the pre-market. We're printing 22 and a half right here.
Right.
So, and that is still elevated. That's interesting. Okay, good stuff
It
already.
is.
Anne Marie.
Now, here's what's happening. When that fall comes back into, I don't think it's going to come back below 18, but if it does, it will give a shift in the market space. But notice that terrible sentiment number. What happened? Exit liquidity. And then buyers said, thank you very much.
Yep.
I'll buy that. And that's exactly what's going on right now. So let's take a look at waste management. We do not know how long reflexive bounces will last. So the question is, if we take a look at waste management and we go, this is a reflexive bounce, and it moved, yes, that's another good thing. Skew absolutely came down. I actually have skew on my grid right here. So yes, indeed. But as we look at waste management, what we have to think about is, one, how long do we want to sit in the trade? Two, how much do we want to put at risk? And three, oh my gosh, can you tell it's Friday?
Yeah.
It just went boom and flew right up. Okay.
You had it
I
and it
would,
just whoop.
yeah, gone. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And three, if you take a trade that's quick strike, are you ready to move? Time zones will occur March equinox. All right.
Yeah,
That's nice.
I think that 13 was actually asking if you caught the lunar eclipse, which is where that came from.
Well,
We're talking
no,
about
I
these
didn't.
different moons and stuff. I think
Yeah,
that they were just trying to add to that.
yeah, yeah. Um, I didn't get to see it, but I did see the full moon, and it was a very beautiful orange last night. It was very, very pretty. So here we are. Let's take a look at waste management. Two things to notice. The new high up here came on diminishing. We had one good volume, and then the follow-up month did not have the same amount of volume. And so now we are retesting this potential balance area. So let's say we're very interested in what price action might do over the next 2 weeks. We have no idea. We've got all kinds of administrative things going. Let's think about this short term first, and then I'm going to give you a long term trade. Waiting. Sorry to blow your stream up with all of these anecdotes, but I do feel it's very important when market gets very erratic and we're like, what the heck is going on? What we end up seeing is we get the biggest understanding of what's happening if we just zoom out.
Yeah.
And if we zoom out, we'll figure it out.
I think that's all accretive, frankly. No apologies necessary. So keep it up.
All right. Thank you so much. Okay. So breakaway candlestick here. So we're looking for a potential floor, if possible, between 218 and the gap fill, right? Or a retest of the last area they held support, which is 230. So those prices are pretty close to each other. So we have 230 on the upside for the opening strike and maybe 215 on the downside. So let's have a look. Let's give it 7 days for the first one, right? So what did I say? 230? Yes, 230. So simple one. If this is a dip buying formation, the flat out 230 long call
Mhm.
in the next 7 days, $55. That's a bounce. It moves with the rest of trend. It takes us up into the 230 and we're done. Our goal is to have a stop at 25 cents
Mhm.
or pardon me, or a target at $2. Now, why would I say $2? Well, I think it's going to give us 3-4x if it moves very quickly. And as soon as it moves into or near the money, this is going to triple in size. That's my thought.
Okay.
Now, if you're thinking, hey, what if this is just a one-day Sally kind of thing and all of a sudden we move down straight away, that 210 to 215 is really where it is. And since there's only, either 220 or 210s, I would wait until Monday
Mhm.
to see what happens here. And maybe at the top of the cycle, you can go, hey, when it's 55 cents, maybe I'll take a short. I don't like the put action here in this short term for waste management. All right, so let's now look at the April. Hello. Let's go to April and see what the traders are doing. My thought is the bounce up is going to give us another reflexive move down. And so we could look, the spinning wheel of death.
The beach ball, the infamous Mac beach ball.
I don't know what's going on here. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Okay, so we have the 220s. Seriously?
Everybody's like, are you kidding?
Gremlins.
Are you kidding?
Who sent the gremlins over? 220, 210, 200, or 230. Whoops.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looks like the gremlin.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep. 230, 240, 250. Okay, now both of these are expensive. I would suspect that this, if we continue to bounce, the 240 is going to rise in price. And when that delta gets to about 30, that's going to be a much more attractive spread. Probably maybe almost half the price. Today was Waste Management's record date for dividend payment. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So that's what we're looking at. I would like for this 240 to gain a little bit of value before I step in to a long formation there. That's why I would say try the 230 calls and see how they work. 25 cents is your stop, your target $2, something like that.
Okay. I like
Okay.
it. I think that I really like those solo calls.
Yes.
Honestly,
I do too.
And just kind of going with that dividend comment about this being going ex-div here today, generally stock's supposed to sell off when they pay the dividend out.
By
So
the
I
direct-
almost wonder
yes.
if that kind of spring loads this a little bit more.
Yes. Yes.
Interesting.
I would agree.
Interesting.
Yeah. All right. Let's go back to the charts and let's take a look at the IWM. So here's the thing. Oh, for goodness sakes. What do I have open here that's eating so many of my resources? This might be a problem. Hang on a second.
Yeah, no problem.
It
And
might
then,
be a resource issue.
yeah, the other thing that you could try in Thinkorswim is the help system subtab collect garbage. And that depends what Thinkorswim is doing, though. I'm just as an aside.
We'll be fine. Yeah, I think I just need to shut down a few things. All right, so here we go. IWM. Now, here's something else about traders, big money managers. They're going to look at something that's 2.5 to 3 standard deviations below the average, Bollinger Band, Keltner Band, whatever they're looking at. And they're going to go, that looks cheap. Let's do a reversion to the mean. So what I believe is happening is a reversion to the mean in the IWM. Now, this thing is really on a death spiral, right? I mean, we've seen it just look abysmal until about 4 days ago, where it started to hold the floor, right?
This has really kind of led a lot of the indices down. This was already in bear market territory when SPY and Qs were catching up. Yeah,
exactly, right? And rates are very likely to stay sticky. They're likely to stay sticky. And so what we see with sticky rates is reflexive action getting sold. Now, I believe both of us have Brian Shannon as a friend / acquaintance. He says, never trust rising price in a 5 downward daily moving average. So what do we have? Rising price, downward 5 moving average. But notice how big the reflexive bounces can be. Very big. This is just a daily chart.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're thinking to yourself, this might actually get some traction to 210. So let's go see how much they're charging us for that.
Okay. By the way, while you're loading that up there, Brian Shannon is phenomenal. We had him on, was near the end of last year, and he was kind enough to do a giveaway for his anchored VWAP book. I swear, Anne Marie, that's one of the best books I've ever read on market trade.
100%. You can tell how much effort he put into writing that book.
Yep. And you know what else is it makes me look at the things that I'm seeing in the market. Like, it makes me take a closer look, because he's got such a good attention to detail. And that book is phenomenal. I highly recommend, first of all, you folks, I'll go get his Twitter. He's a friend of BZ, and I think he can make everyone here a better trader.
Alpha Trends is his Twitter.
There you go.
Trends.
Yeah, I wanted to. There we go. So I'll go ahead and throw it in here. Thank you, Anne Marie, and thank you for bringing that up. I love highlighting really good people in our community, and he's at the top of the list. Brian Shannon.
He's phenomenal. He's so phenomenal.
Yeah.
So you might be thinking to yourself, all right, Fred, I don't trust it, but if it goes for several days, I could make a boatload. So today, the 205s, ton of volume coming in there. They're 70 cents. I don't love that. I think it's too expensive, but you could go just below it to the 206 and cut the price by about 40%. 206, long calls. What your job is watch for 206, and when it hits it, cut this position in half. Now, you might look at it. I suspect this thing will also triple in size in terms of if it moves in the next day or next week, right? This one has 4 days of expiry. You can do that. And the reason this is very unusual for me to bring these kinds of suggestions to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Normally, I've got things hedged, sitting on, but we are in a pattern that everyone is seeing, that most people don't believe because they've had shell shock for the last 6 or 7 trading days.
So good.
And so they're like, yeah, this thing's going to roll over. They're not thinking about what's happening on the week, what's happening on the month, and what's going on in general. So this one, short action, long for a short period of time. It is anchored VWAP.
I was going to say, if you don't go grab it, I'm going to go grab my copy and I'll show it.
Yeah.
I can grab it. I know exactly where mine is. Give me a second.
Yeah. Maximizing anchored VWAP results. I don't know. I don't know. I can't remember.
Okay. Really quick, Anne Marie. Sorry to break your stride here.
Yes.
But again, I cannot recommend this enough. This book is currently helping me. I'm not confident enough to give lessons out of it yet. I'll do that, but I need to make another pass through it. Here's the name of the book by Brian Shannon: Maximum Trading Gains with Anchored VWAP. The perfect combination of price, time, and volume by Brian Shannon. So I highly, highly recommend at least follow him on Twitter. That's free. But I also highly recommend the book. The other thing is that this is a pretty cherished. Collect signed books, and Brian was kind enough to sign it for me. So highly, highly recommend. Really good question. Sorry for the digression here, Emery.
No, it's absolutely fantastic. It is literally one of the most well-written books on technical analysis that I have ever read.
And you're an author too, so that's saying something.
It is, because my mind, I look at things with a much more critical eye, because I know what an editor is supposed to do. And so it's phenomenal. But as we sit here, this is up 4 cents from us chatting. I promise this one looks nice and clean. And if you set your risk at 50%, you could see a really nice move to the upside.
And I think you've got to be pretty convicted in this, because you're buying a contract that expires in 4 days, right ahead of a 2-day weekend.
Exactly.
So you've got to be feeling like this is going to be pretty good here for you to even be looking at this.
Yes. And so if you say, hey, Emery, that doesn't really feel that great, why don't I try for 7 days, give myself a little bit more room?
Mhm.
You can go down there and do the 206, but it's got a lot less bang for the buck.
It's 3 times the price.
Exactly. Exactly. Notice this 210, where I think the real resistance edge is also pulling quite a bit of volume. 63,000 in
Mhm.
open interest and another 3,900 this morning, and it's just 11:23. So yeah, you can go further out and try to shoot the moon there, or you can let this go maybe even into the end of today. It might double in size. And then if you bought 2 of them, it doubled in size, you sell one of them, then you can go, you know what? Free money. I'll see what happens on Monday.
Okay.
All right. Let's go to what else might be happening. So I do want to congratulate myself just a little bit.
Please do.
So a few days ago, I said, listen, you want to buy the Meta put when it gets to 630, and you want to sell it when it gets down to the bottom of the trading range. This was for the put butterfly.
Mhm.
And this textbook close yesterday afternoon. Textbook close. It comes right into the base. If only my charts would load. It comes right into the base and wait a second. You said help collect garbage.
Yep, you got it.
All right. Let's go back to the charts. Okay. So what we see is, take a look. Bottom of the base. Just like I said, this one was worth, I think, $4.60 when I sold it.
That is unreal how fast that happened. I saw you mention that too. I didn't end up taking this one, but my God, is that good?
Yeah, it's
We're gonna give
crazy.
you a cash
Now,
register ring.
at the same time, because I put the double butterfly in there, I said, listen, when it falls to the floor at the base of support, you can put the call butterfly up. And that one was about $1.50. It's now worth $4.15 today. The reflexivity of price sitting at these ranges is beyond stupendous. Beyond stupendous. And I suspect that that call butterfly could print $9 if we can get back to 620 by Monday.
Okay. That's God, what a huge gain that is. That's almost at the maximum end of the range, I feel like, from when we talked about that.
Yes. Well, it
Huge.
is, it'll be, it's still inside of the range. Maximum gains would be $20. But I don't know that we're going to get that. I don't want to. The second I start seeing dollar signs, I go, it's time to close your trade. Right?
Okay, fair enough.
Because I go, all right, stop thinking about whatever. You just go to price and do whatever price is telling you. All right.
I recommend Anne Marie for the Benzinga Hall of Fame. You're in, Anne Marie. That's it. That's it. Tom likes it. Okay. We got 3 minutes left here before we go over to Sandy. I do think we could probably get one. Can I ask you, can we take a very quick cursory look here at Costco? Or did you want to do Meta? No, you're just doing that. Can we do Costco real quick?
Of course. Of course.
Take care of yourself, Wisdom. Thanks for the birthday wishes and the memes.
All right. So as we look at Costco, reflexive bouncing, we know that this company is very good at what they do.
Yeah.
So any dips that come into weekly or monthly support, big money is going to go, I think we'll pick some of that up for the portfolio. Right? Now, there's an argument that says, hey, passive investing is going to buy no matter what the price is, which could also give something a floor in the near term. But have a gander here. It is very close to incredibly solid areas of support, right? So if you're a big money trader and you have a portfolio that can manage the size of a short put in here, the 870, let me move this out of the way. Well, this is from our time with Tim. We can go to the 870s, but you want to sell it far out enough so that you can collect some premium. And if it gets some wiggles, you're okay. If it ends up getting you to, 850. So this wheel.
Yeah, and it's okay here if the wheel ends up running us into the time.
So that's what I would say.
Okay.
If you're looking for a butterfly, this is a great place to put one on for a short period of time. It will be a little bit expensive, but you can easily see price going to 930 and trying to stabilize there because it's moving from the bottom of balance to the top of balance.
Okay. And by the way, as mentioned earlier here, I'm actually looking to add to this at 874 if we get down there. We actually charted this one earlier together. Okay. Anne-Marie, really, really good stuff here. Again, just great stuff all week. Sorry I wasn't wearing the whites with you today. We'll do that next week, I'm sure. Any closing words here for the group before we head into the weekend?
Trade small, folks. You gotta listen. Longevity comes from risk management. So trade your small size, watch your risk, and don't drink glasses of hopium when you're in a trade. You actually want to go, where is support, where is resistance? Leave the hopium for extracurricular activities.
There you go. I like it. Anne-Marie, I love it. Do me a favor. Have yourself a great weekend. We'll catch up with you on Tuesday.
Happiest birthday ever.
I will do that. It's been a pretty good one so far. So we'll turn this into a weekend event here. We'll catch up with you next week.
All right. Take care.
That is Anne-Marie Baiynd. She is awesome. How lucky are we that we get to do that? Now, Anne-Marie's departure leaves room for Sandy. Let's bring her on and see how Sandy's doing. Happy Friday, Sandy.
Happy Friday, Ryan. How's it going?
It's going great. I mean, here, I know you're in the land of sunshine, so it's always nice there. But here in Chicago, the weather gods are giving us a break, and it is going to be 79 degrees here today. Oh my God, is nice. Right. Everyone's going to be happy.
Dogs out here.
What's that?
It's been raining cats and dogs out here in Southern California all week long. Gloomy and wet.
Okay, well, hopefully you get some sunshine to come out there and brighten up your weekend. Before we head into the weekend, what do you got for us today?
We're going to take a look at Vail Energy as well as Futo. Have some a lot of option flow going in there from institutions. So we're going to take a look at that.
Okay, amazing. Folks, option trading made simple with Sandy starts right now.
Welcome back, traders. This is Sandra with Trading Made Simple. I'm here to show you short-term proven strategies. People think trading is a one-size-fit-all market. It's not. We live trade and train daily. Let's talk trading.
Hey guys, hope you guys are having a great day. Look at this Friday SPY up $10. Oh my gosh, what a bounce. Didn't matter that consumer sentiment came in a lot lower, but look at this. We have SPY looking like it just passed its point of control here. as you could see at the 559 level. I mean, we are just shooting through on an hourly above the 20, which is so constructive, as well as on a 15. Really looking good. Now, on a day chart, this looks really scary, doesn't it? So we have one good engulfing candle today, SPY up $10. Really quite unbelievable. But look at our momentum here. I really want to check out momentum coming into basically above that 100 line. We could actually have a couple positive days here, right? I mean, this is just a lower low until it actually breaks trend, but as far as this jump, it looks like a gamma squeeze is really what it looks like. So oftentimes, when you have all these puts that institutions as well as retail traders have purchased, the market makers have to hedge their positions. And so what they do, to stay delta neutral. And what ends up happening is when you have this type of day where all of a sudden the market's rising and you have all those puts that were, purchased, then all of a sudden those people are panicked, right, with this gap. And then they start, closing their positions and triggers, their stops are getting triggered. And then all of a sudden what ends up happening, a regular maybe a $5 day on SPY turns into a $10 day because of the gamma squeeze. This is what it's looking like to me. But as we look at SPY, we can see that SPY having a great day. And of course, like Anne Marie said, boy, you have to manage your risk because this is, really still in a downtrend here. It really doesn't look good, but we could get a couple days because if you're looking at a reversion to the mean trade, right? Because how far down are we going to go here until we actually start correcting? So, the market's been down about 10%, and now we've taken this bounce today. But look at how far away we are from the 20 EMA. I use that as my reversion to the mean. So we could go quite high. As a matter of fact, next week's expected move for the Qs here is around 490. That's a lot of points if you think about a 1 week move. So this could start getting a little crazy as far as what we have next, like what's coming up. So looking on the high side for the Qs at 490.97, looking on the low side around 466. And that would put us, right, because you could see we had a double bottom right here, and then now the bounce today. But if we end up going back lower, then we could go right back to where we were at and start, going sideways here for a bit. So it's been a real difficult market unless you've been on the right side of these moves. Let's see. Let's take a look at IWM. IWM having a pretty good day, $4 up here. Also for next week's move, you can see that as far as I'm actually surprised. This doesn't look as bad as SPY did, right? So it looks like we've been chopping for just really kind of going sideways on IWM. This actually looks constructive. And so could we get a bigger bounce next week? We could, 207.68. This could just be a gamma squeeze today, and then we fall right back down to 197. Those are the weekly expected moves. So looking at those weekly expected moves can give you kind of an idea of your expectation, right? So if you look at the trade tab now, I currently have if you look at the trade tab and you can see on March 21st, $6.34 right here on Thinkorswim kind of tells you, oops, that's for A, B, and B. Let's look at QQQ. QQQ for March 17th, $7.82. So we can really have a move either plus or minus. So once again, that volatility, even though it's lessened today, still over 20. You could see that volatility has dropped about 2.52 points, and that's allowing the market to really take advantage of this move. How about a DIA? DIA. I hate it when we're on a Friday and we get this bounce after a week of this, right? Like, look at this. Come on, guys. Wow, that's interesting. So on the Dow, we could get a pop up to 421 next week. And how about a low? A low visiting, right? This candle's low for the week. 407.16 is our expected move. So we really do have these wide areas. I kind of like Anne Marie's strategy, of, hey, you could put a butterfly at, support and resistance and then just ping pong back and forth. And so now I wanted to take a look at FUTU. This really had some option flow coming into it today, some calls, of course. The 140, which is really, kind of not only to go back to its previous high, but to break its previous high and to make a higher high. Now you can actually see, when you look at this chart, right, comparably to like SPY as an example, what a difference. So I can see why the institutions are putting some money into this. Not only did we break above, I love this setup right here, guys. We broke above the zero line on momentum, and then we also broke above the 20 EMA. I mean, really, so constructive. We're actually coming to a double top here at 122.16. If we can bypass that area of consolidation at 122, let's make it like 122.40 thereabouts. Let's just call it 123. If we can break above 123, that next high is going to be 130. And these contracts are, these contracts are only a month out. Let's take a look at that really quick. Well, you could see for next week, I want to see what the expected move is for a month out here. Let's look at April. It's too bad I have that keeps going back and forth. Need to put my things on there. Let's look at April 17th. So April 17th, it looks like 20 points thereabouts. Yeah, you know what? That could put us, well, that would only put us actually at about 126. So I would be cautious about that as we approach that double top. I do like momentum actually being above that zero line. And I love how we're above this 20, but we could come right back down. I almost want to do like a reversion to the mean to pop back up. So maybe if it comes down a little bit next week, to maybe take a call after it comes back down, kind of like a reversal trade. Right now on a 5-minute, looks like it's coming back down. It's underneath the 20. So looking at maybe this area right here, 121.10 as its high today. I would say anything over 121 to go long for a nice short play on this institutional flow. I think the 140 calls are a little excessive, but I do like all the flow that's in there, almost $1 million, guys. So that looked interesting to me, as well as Vail. Vail, looking interesting right here. Let's take a look at this. Wow. So as you could see, we had a nice pop up today, and there's this descending trend line here. If we can stay above that, we can come back up to the last pivot high, which is at 995. Looks like $10 calls for June. Seems more reasonable, doesn't it? But looking very nice as far as momentum being on the high side. Let's take a look at that again on the daily, just popping up above that zero line. And you could see for next week's expected move around $10.18. If we go a little lower, 952, I kind of like this, just popping up above the 20. I like Vail. That's looking really nice. June 20, so they're actually taking these calls way out into the distance so that the time value is not going to be bad. But, as far as, let's take a look at Vail. And take a look at that weekly. Yeah, only about 42 cents. So it's really not a huge, they're not really expecting maybe for next week, but way further out in the distance. So again, on this move today, I'm looking forward to see if it stays and holds today on this 980 setup. But you could see momentum curving down. It hit the positive 200 range. Whenever we get to that 200 range, either above it or below on the CCI, you could use the CCI here and it works wonderful as far as if you're looking for an oscillator for momentum. And typically when we hit those 200 levels, we're either overbought or oversold. And right now we're a little overbought, not loving it. Let's take a look at some of the Meta, not looking too bad here. Let's take a look at it on a daily. Oh, so much repair needs to be done. This actually looks interesting on a 15-minute breaking consolidation bands right here at 606.67. Next week, what does Meta look like next week? Let's take a look here. That actually looks pretty good for a pop up above 627.80. 627.80 for next week. Boy, that expected move's pretty decent. And then if we go back down, that's going to look nasty. 585. Wow. I'm almost liking the butterfly plays. Look at this day today. Meta's got $16. 16. That's quite a bit. What do you guys think about some butterflies on the high end and on the low end, and let the volatility just play out, right? Let's take a look at Apple. Wow, Apple just bearish throughout. And then today, one nice candle, but really still everything is just looking really weak here. Let's take a look and see what we got on our watch list. Oh, NVIDIA. Let's take a look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA actually looking constructive here on a daily. Why? Because it's crossing its 20 EMA. So it's already done the reversion to the mean, right? So now if we can get another daily close above that 20 and have momentum, stay above that zero line, NVIDIA looking really, really strong here for actually a trend change. That's typically when I look at a trend change, is to say, hey, is price above that 20 EMA? And then also, is momentum above that zero line? And that actually looks good. I'm going to write that down for NVIDIA. Let me take a look at Meta again. I'm going to take a look at that one more time, see if that's actually in play for us comparably to NVIDIA. No, not even as close. Can you see the difference between the two? But Meta looks good, just kind of staying in its range right here. Looks like more consolidation for Meta, possibly next week. And then let's take a look at Tesla. Tesla consolidating, right? Actually not looking too bad. Let's take a look at the hourly. Looks good on an hourly. You could see that we popped above that descending trend line there. Got some consolidation bands at 250, 145. You could actually use that as a nice, hey, if I break above 252, I'm going along. Why? Because on an hourly, our last pivot high is at 303. We could have some really good movement next week on this one. Let's take a look at the daily again. Momentum has not recovered, but it's getting there slowly but surely, which means what? Well, we could do a lot of sideways action next week. And you can see that we have some resistance right here on this trend line. But that still puts you at 263. A lot of movement still. A lot of big swings still possible for next week with our VIX being high. On a 15-minute, that 252 kind of looking good on Tesla. By the way, how would we, last week we actually was looking at Pepsi. Now, this is the second time that we've looked at a stock that had relative strength on Friday, and then it just kind of just sank. And now look at it. Let's take a look at that. What did we do on Pepsi? I don't think we did any automation. We were actually attempting to do some automation, and then we found I had an issue about putting in. Oh yeah, I remember this, and I contacted Schwab, and they put in a new kind of this new update. So let me show you this really quick. And it's not just for Pepsi, it's for anything. So as we're looking for NVIDIA looking good, let's take something on NVIDIA here. If we take NVIDIA and let's say we want to do a trade on NVIDIA and we wanted to automate it, right? Let's do this here. I keep doing that. There we go. And let's say we want to take something for a week out. The interesting thing about NVIDIA was, or with Schwab, is that when I wanted to actually automate a trade, we had some issues. That's right. I'm trying to remember. We had some issues right here. Oh, that's so interesting. And now I don't see it. Wow. Okay. So they actually did, let me see if, yeah. So no, now it's working. So this was so interesting because last week we were wanting to do an automated trade and there was this little button right here that I didn't see. The lock wasn't here. But when we were actually doing an automation, let me just put something down here. What's the price on NVIDIA? 121. Let's see if it, no. So this actually has the same issue. That's so interesting, but it's only when I'm doing it live. So I must have something up with my Windows or something. That's so weird, but I called Schwab on it. Does anybody remember that happening last week, by the way? That's so weird that now I want to do an automated trade and it's happening again. And it's only when I'm live. So it's not, it's something to do with that, which is a real bummer, but that's all right. If I was to look at a trade for next week, I'm really liking NVIDIA here as we attempt to cross above the 20. I really like this to go long, but we're going to come right up to a 126, which really still gives us a lot of room. I would keep it really small right here, but I would take a debit spread actually, just in case we have some sideways action. And you could see how inexpensive, right? Inexpensive this is to go along for NVIDIA. Let's take a couple of these contracts. I want to keep my risk low. And let me see if I can automate this right now with a debit spread. In fact, what I'll do, let me close down this and then come over here. It actually looks okay right here to go long. Well, let's give it a try. It's this little area right here that we didn't have. So that looks like it's working. Let's take a look at NVIDIA and see if we could do an automated trade. So I'm looking for, what's today's high? Today's high is 121.88. Let's say 122. If NVIDIA breaks above 122, we're going to go long on NVIDIA for next week. So how would we do that? Well, we brought up, right? We brought up our debit spread. And a debit spread is basically you're buying a call and you're selling a call. So if we end up going sideways or we just start chopping next week for a little bit, it's not going to hurt this trade as much as it would if you were just taking a long call. Now, with that, we said, hey, look, 122, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to come right over here while it's working. And we're going to say, and what you're going to do is just click on here. So NVIDIA at the mark, and this is going to be greater than. The first one is less than. The second one is greater than. We're going to do greater than 122. I actually like this play, right? Because we want it to break today's high. So on Monday, as an example, if we break today's high, then this will trigger in. If we don't break today's high, no worries. It's not going to trigger. Now we're taking contracts that are a week out. So we're just looking for some weekly moves. And I like the short moves when we have a market that's got high volatility like we've been experiencing, because that means we're going to have a real fast moves up as well as real fast moves down, and we could take advantage of the trend. Now, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to look for a nice sweet spot as well for NVIDIA, so that if we break below it as well, we'll get into some puts, because we don't know what's going to happen next week. So here for the programming, we have NVIDIA, Mark. And by the way, you can just scroll down and you can see where it says greater to or equal than. So we're going to do greater than or equal to 122. We're going to say we want to buy the ask. That's not letting me do it here. And it's also not letting me do it for good till cancel. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to save my programming right here. I'm going to come right over here and say buy the ask, because I can do that from the front of this screen. And then I'm going to say good till cancel. All right, so now we have this program that if we break today's high, which is at 122, we're going long for next week. We're going to confirm and send that, and you can see that if we read our programming, it says, hey, NVIDIA at or above 122, get me into this. And you could see what the max loss and the max profit is. All right, so now we've sent that in. So now when I take a look at the chart, I'm going to say, okay, if today's high was near 122, what's today's low? 121.88. No, 118.15. Excuse me, guys. So if today's low is 118.15, we could say, hey, if we break below 118 for next week, I want to go lower, because I think the probabilities of us coming back and testing the 114 level could happen, right? Because this is our week's expected move. Remember that you can get your week's expected move off of the trade tab. So now I could say, okay, today is such a bullish day. If we break below today's low, we're going lower. All right, so let me look at that. 118.15, we'll just take 118 and round it. So now if I go to my trade tab and I just go over to, let's see, that was the 118 level. And I'm going to say buy. You could see that we're going to go out a week. We're taking a 118, 120. So we're buying the 120. We're selling the 118. It's only for 79 cents. We're going to do a couple contracts on that as well. Remember, limit your risk with these high volatility days. And then what we're going to do is program it for 118. Now watch how easy this is. So we're going to just click, 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 and it just puts in the default, right? So now we're going to click, and it's the first one, less than or equal to, and you can read it down here. Less than or equal to, and we said 118. Let me, I got the spinning wheel. You know what that means. Problems are on the rise. Okay, so now we have NVIDIA mark at or less than or equal to 118. So we want it to break below. Let's see if, will it let me do anything here? No, I must have too much memory happening. So I'm going to just save it, because we could do that here. You could see that it actually did ask, which is perfect. We're going to do a good till cancel. And now when we submit this, what does it say? So now it says, okay, we're going to buy 3 NVIDIA puts. These are put debit spreads, right? And it says NVIDIA mark at or below 118, and it'll get us in here. Now, typically for debit spreads, I like these 2 trades. So typically for debit spreads, I like a 50% profit. As soon as I hit a 50% profit, I will start to take some of my contracts off. We don't have a lot of contracts here. We're limiting our risk for the week because we've had real excessive movement today. Market's really kind of been chopping in this range, but NVIDIA actually relatively from the rest of the market looks really constructive on the chart. Why? Because it's breaking above that 20 EMA, which is my reversion to the mean, and it's breaking above the zero line. Now, depending on what the market does, right? It's going to affect NVIDIA. So what I like to do on these types of real volatile weeks is why not put a trade on for not only bullish, but also a trade for bearish trades, right? So just in case we break above, we have a long. If we break below that area, and we're just using today's high and low right now as that area to strategize. So next week, if we can get up to that 127, that's going to make that move look really nice. So I like these two trades because we were looking at really actually doing some butterflies. Now, couldn't you do that as well as we take a look at these real extended moves? You could say, you know what, if next week's move for NVIDIA is 127 and its low is at 114, couldn't I take a butterfly on each end? Absolutely. I think it's a great strategy to use support and resistance, especially when we have the VIX over 20. You have a lot, sharper moves day to day, and you can actually get price to get into that butterfly and start making a profit, right? Now, really the butterfly, depending on your expiration, that butterfly tends to make more money as the time is decaying, right? So you really need price to actually be inside. So as an example, on these days, this was Monday and Tuesday, if the butterfly, and you can see this week's movement, it wouldn't have made a lot of money if prices in the butterfly early in the week. You actually want the movement to happen later in the week towards expiration to really get the premium out of that butterfly. That's the only thing, is that the timing just has to be perfect. But in a market like this, you never know what's going to happen from day to day or from tweet to tweet. So I hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you next Friday. We'll find out what happens with NVIDIA on those debit spreads. Have a great weekend.